After walking for a long while, Jin Seol remained silent, not saying a word. She must be pondering something deeply, while Jin Juan kept watching her, filled with curiosity and suspicion. Jin Seol's eyes burned with determination, thinking that this was her last chance. Her first job after graduation, she had to complete it successfully. She would follow the guidance and the trust placed in her by her boss. Jin Juan felt something was off, as Jin Seol would never approach him voluntarily. There must be some hidden reason or purpose, like she was waiting for her husband. Just then, Jin Juan spoke up, feeling a bit annoyed by Sukmuk, whom he had just avoided, only for Jin Seol to come to him. Did she want to make tonight unforgettable? Why was he meeting another femme fatale? It was like escaping from the frying pan into the fire. Jin Seol finally turned back, her demeanor calm as she spoke. What I represent today to meet you is my company's application, and I hope to secure your investment. She began her introduction. Our company has great potential, focusing on social networks for the youth. Currently, the number of downloads has exceeded 1 million, and the daily active users have surpassed 500,000. You can come to our company too. Before she could finish, Jin Juan, looking disappointed, sighed. He thought she wanted to engage with him actively, but it turned out she was here for business. He bluntly said, "Sorry to trouble you, but if I understand correctly, you want my help, right?" Jin Seol seriously replied, "You could say that, but I think your investment in our company would be mutually beneficial, because we are truly developing with great potential." With his flirtatious nature, Jin Juan smugly said, "So you're begging me, right?" Jin Seol felt insulted, but had to endure it for her work. She loudly responded, "Yes, I am asking for your help. Consider it begging, okay? Are you satisfied now?" She held back tears, thinking, "Bastard, just because you have money, you think you can humiliate me like this?" Jin Juan looked at her face with some interest, feeling a sense of satisfaction, thinking, "Weren't you quite cool before? Now you want to beg me. I'll tease her a little more." Jin Juan gently lifted her hair and sniffed it, softly saying, "It smells nice, sister." When asking for help, you should do it as if you're truly seeking it, not with such an attitude. He hinted, sometimes, to receive something, you need to give something in return. Consider it a mutually beneficial exchange. Jin Juan, showing the demeanor of a domineering man, leaned in close to her face and said, "You understand what I mean, right?" Jin Seol was stunned, feeling like her soul had left her body. The air seemed a bit suffocating for the old driver, who thought, "Are all young people so passionate nowadays?" Jin Seol, now furious, pushed his hand away and shouted, "Disgusting, you scumbag! Jin Juan, you really are trash. Do you want to sleep with me? Do you think you deserve Aki after this?" At this moment, the system announced that Jin Seol's favorability was continuously decreasing. -5 favorability points. -5 favorability points. -5 favorability points. Jin Juan waved his hand dismissively and continued teasing. "Sleep with you? That's ridiculous. Jin Seol, you think too highly of yourself. I'm not interested in a cold and unpleasant woman like you." Jin Seol looked at him in shock and angrily shouted, "Then, what did you mean earlier?" Jin Juan turned his head coldly and said, "What do you mean? Do you really think the world revolves around you? If you want me to invest, I will. We've only met twice. Are we so close that I should invest in you? Based on what?" Jin Juan turned to question her. "Last time, you misunderstood me and never apologized. Do you respect me at all, or do you only think about yourself?" Jin Seol stammered, "It's not that I don't. Tomorrow I will." She bit her lip, unwilling to say more. "All right, I get it," she shouted. "I'm the one humiliating myself. I'm leaving." Jin Seol wanted to get out of the car. "Driver, stop the car." "But where are we?" Jin Juan noticed something was wrong. This isn't the way to Hode. The taxi suddenly braked sharply. Jin Juan held his face, thinking, "Damn it, I knew nothing good would come from staying with this woman." Outside, 3 pickup trucks were blocking the taxi from the front and rear. It looked like this was going to be serious. Everyone got out of the car, led by the taxi driver, who swaggered over to Jin Juan and Jin Seol, hands in his jacket. Seeing this, Jin Juan understood immediately. Well, a gang with an inside man. It looks like things won't be peaceful tonight, he thought. Jin Mingseol, standing next to him, worriedly asked, "What should we do now?" Despite the situation, Jin Juan couldn't resist teasing her. He put on a resigned face and sighed, "What else can we do? Surrender and give up, of course." Jin Mingseol felt a bit disheartened, looking at him in disappointment. She had expected a heroic rescue, where he would jump in and fight off the thugs, but instead, this happened. She asked, "Are you serious?" The malicious taxi driver said, "I didn't expect it to be this easy." He turned to his henchman and said, "Good job catching the rich guy after the party. Now we even have a beauty with him." The henchman, proud of the praise, said, "Boss, you flatter me. Even though it was my idea, it was your excellent leadership and strategy that made it work." Jin Juan then clasped his hands together and said in a humble tone, "Mighty heroes, please, don't resort to violence. Name your price. I'll pay whatever you want. We can negotiate." Seeing their prey so compliant, the gang members were delighted. The leader, with a dangerous smile, said, "All right, since you're so sensible, I won't make it hard for you. When we tie you up later, we'll make it loose." Before he could finish, Jin Juan had already appeared in front of him, delivering a kick to his face. The leader could only manage an "ah" before flying 10 meters and landing on his back, foaming at the mouth. The henchman, seeing this, shouted in panic, "Boss!" Jin Juan thought to himself, "One kick from me, with my current strength of over 100 pounds, and these guys are tough, clearly professionally trained, not just ordinary thugs but actual criminals." The henchman, realizing Jin Juan's capability, wasted no time and, without further words, gathered and attacked him furiously. One of them yelled, "Everyone, get him! Kill the bastard!" Jin Juan wasn't intimidated by the technology of these thugs. He swung his fists left and right, dropping one after another. Realizing Jin Juan was tough, the leader pointed to Jin Mingseol and ordered, "This guy is hard to handle. Third, take some men and go for the girl. With her in our hands, he'll have to surrender." Jin Mingseol, noticing their gestures and hearing their plan to capture her, was filled with furious anger. As one thug tried to seize her from behind, she swiftly detected him and delivered a powerful kick, sending him sprawling. "You scum, don't you dare touch me," she shouted. Despite being a woman, Jin Mingseol was a black belt martial artist. The thug, now missing a few teeth and bleeding from his mouth and nose, was terrified. "Damn, this woman can fight." Jin Juan, while fighting, kept a worried eye on Jin Mingseol. He was confident he could take them all down, but feared she might not hold out. "This needs to end quickly," he thought. "System, increase my strength by 10 points, agility by 20 points," he commanded. Jin Juan charged at the group with a fury that seemed to set the air ablaze. At 21 years old, standing 181 centimeters tall, and weighing 72 kilograms, his stats were impressive. Strength 45, physical endurance 45, mental fortitude 30, agility 55. He shouted, "Hiya! Hiya! Hiya!" unleashing a flurry of punches that seemed like thousands, each one hitting its mark. His left fist struck directly, his right delivered a hook to another's jaw. Blow by blow, he defeated them. Seeing this, the leader shouted, "Fifth brother, sixth brother." Distracted by worry for their comrades, Jin Mingseol seized the moment, kicking 2 thugs in quick succession, leaving them clutching their groins in agony. "Where do you think you're looking? I'm right here," she taunted. Finishing off her opponents, Jin Mingseol coldly turned away, muttering, "Foolish men don't know their limits." One thug, trembling and clutching his groin, pulled out a knife and snarled, "You bitch, I'll make you pay for humiliating me." Filled with rage, he charged at her, weapon in hand. "Die, you wench!" he screamed. Caught off guard, Jin Mingseol froze, unable to react, thinking, "This is it. I'm done for." Suddenly, a hand appeared out of nowhere to block the knife. Jin Juan had shown up just in time, stopping it. He looked at the attacker with a deadly gaze and said, "Wielding a knife against a woman is not a good habit. Looks like I'll have to teach you a lesson." Blood slowly dripped to the ground as Jin Juan blocked the knife with his bare hand. Jin Seal, witnessing this, turned pale with fear and started trembling. She thought to herself, I almost died. Jin Juan actually saved me. Without Jin Juan, I wouldn't be able to see the light of day again. Jin Juan was extremely angry. He was fighting barehanded while the other guy resorted to close combat. He leaped up, put all his strength into a kick, and shouted, evil deeds will be punished. Die! The scene was terrifying, with bodies of unconscious men sprawled all over the road. Jin Seal, trembling, called out Jin Juan's name, making him a bit puzzled. She then jumped at him and hugged him tightly, crying and saying, I thought I was done for. Thank you, Jin Juan. Jin Juan, a bit suffocated by her embrace, felt a warm sensation in his heart. Looking at her, he smiled and thought, no one could imagine that this beautiful woman could also have such a vulnerable side. Quite endearing indeed. Jin Juan did not refuse and hugged her tightly to comfort her. It's okay now. I'm here. Don't take what I said in the car to heart. You are actually a very good person. At this moment, Jin Seal was no longer the fierce woman. She was crying, her eye makeup fading away. She looked up like a kitten and asked softly, really? Do you really think so? Seeing him not answer, she clung even tighter to his collar. Jin Juan awkwardly said, ahem, yes, that's right. About the investment in the carp app you mentioned, I'll consider it. I'll visit your company in a few days to survey and then decide. Jin Seal looked at him with eyes full of affection and thought, Jin Juan, this person has a sharp tongue but a soft heart, different from other men who always pretend to be shameless. Yet, he is stronger and more decisive than anyone. Jin Seal slowly took his injured hand, realizing that in this world, there really was a man who would risk everything to protect her in times of danger. Seeing her worried, Jin Juan reassured her, it's nothing. Just a small wound, nothing serious. Jin Seal placed Jin Juan's hand on her cheek and felt that the person in front of her was incredibly strong, providing her with a sense of safety. After everything that had happened in the past, it seemed that this was the person she needed. He was the hero of her life. A notification from the system sounded. Jin Seal's affection increased by 30. Jin Seal's affection increased by 30. Current affection, 80 points. After a while, the police arrived at the scene, carrying away all the criminals and taking them to the station. They sang the song, This Spring, If I Don't Return, lamenting about a mother's sadness and the shabby roof in their home. Jin Juan and Jin Seal were providing their statements to the police when a woman's voice rang out from behind them. Jin Juan was surprised to hear, in just a few hours and you're already in trouble again. Both turned their gazes towards the source of the voice. Jin Juan exclaimed in surprise, oh, it's you. It turned out to be Suit Muck in her police uniform, who answered with a dignified tone, why can't it be me? A series of police cars roared down the street, and a police officer approached Suit Muck to report, Chief CO, 1 person is dead, and 7 are severely injured. The scene showed signs of a fierce struggle. All 8 individuals were escapees, with 1 being an internationally wanted criminal of the highest level. Suit Muck looked at Jin Juan, who was giving his statement, and thought, 8 organized criminals involved in kidnapping, yet 1 was killed and 7 were severely injured by just 1 person. Suit Muck looked at Jin Juan with a dangerous glint in her eyes. He truly was the man she had targeted, with combat skills worthy of being called a city warlord. It was just that he was too attractive to women. Seeing Jin Seal being close to Jin Juan, Suit Muck felt a surge of jealousy. She clenched her fists, silently cursing Jin Juan as an idiot and thinking, Go Jianium has just joined and now there's another newcomer. He never lets people relax. Suit Muck walked up and with the authority of a police officer, said, please follow us to the station for further questioning. At the police station, it was already 3 a.m. Jin Seal had just finished giving her statement. The police officer told her she could leave as the investigation was clear. However, if the police summoned her later, she needed to cooperate at all times. Jin Seal said, all right officer, I want to ask about Jin Juan. Can he leave too? The officer replied, him? He can't leave. Our captain is disciplining him. Jin Seal angrily responded, "No way. If he can't leave, I won't leave either. I'll wait here for him to come back." The officer forced a smile and said, "All right then, if you want to wait, go ahead," and turned to leave. He looked at Jin Juan's file, feeling a bit strange. The captain not only wanted to take the statement alone, but also asked him to turn off the surveillance camera. He chuckled to himself, imagining the scene. Has she finally got him? That kid is lucky. Inside the interrogation room, Jin Juan was handcuffed and yawning, having waited for nearly 3 hours without giving his statement. He wondered what Sukmuk was doing. Taking notes while handcuffed? Did she hold a grudge because he called her a green tea girl? At that moment, the door opened. Sukmuk entered, carrying a bag of food. "Here, eat something," she said. Jin Juan, without hesitation, started eating voraciously and said, "I never thought you were a police officer, let alone the captain. This really surprises me." Sukmuk, slightly blushing from the compliment, tried to remain calm and responded, "There are many things you wouldn't expect." The system immediately notified. Sukmuk's favorability increased by 5. Current favorability 50. Jin Juan looked at the system notification, bewildered, thinking, eating noodles can increase favorability? This girl is really strange. Does eating noodles make me look handsome or something? He sighed, deciding to finish eating quickly so he could leave. Jin Juan raised his hand and asked, "Officer, I'm the victim here. Isn't it inappropriate to handcuff me like this? When can I leave?" Sukmuk, with a mix of attack and defense in her stance, moved closer and said, "You don't want to stay with me. You are the victim, yes, but you also killed someone." She slowly lifted his chin and asked, "And what is your relationship with Jinbing Seol?" Jin Juan averted his gaze and replied, "Her. She's my senior who came to pull me into an investment. Who knew something like this would happen?" Suddenly, Sukmuk grabbed Jin Juan's other hand and tore his shirt open, leaving him stunned. Jin Juan's body was covered in bruises from the fight. He sternly asked, "Captain, what do you mean by this? But I think you might be imagining something else entirely, don't you?" "No, don't let your mind wander too far." Sukmuk slammed a first aid kit onto the table. "Meaning? I'm applying medicine. What else?" she said seriously. "Showing off that you took on 8 guys. Look at the state of your body now." Jin Juan, seeing Sukmuk's concern for him, was taken aback and stared at her in surprise. He thought perhaps, maybe something more would happen in this cold winter night. But Sukmuk looked at him with disdain and questioned him. "What kind of expression is that? A man like you, do you think I would take advantage of you?" she said, hitting the nail on the head. Embarrassed, Jin Juan waved his hand and responded, No. It's just that it's the first time someone has taken care of me like this, so I feel a bit awkward. Officer, maybe I should do it myself. You're busy with so many things, I wouldn't want to trouble you." He thought, a man must protect himself when out in the world, and it's not easy. Sukmuk continued to treat his wounds, and seeing him fidget like a measuring worm, she lovingly scolded him. "Sit still and don't move around. If your wounds get infected, what will you do? Be good and listen." She then moved closer to apply alcohol to his wounds. Jin Juan felt a tingling sensation, wondering why it felt so soft. If the first aid continued like this, he might get a nosebleed. Just as he was about to sit back and enjoy, he sensed something was wrong. His expression turned serious. As a master of deception, he knew this was wrong. This woman was trying to trap him. He had seen this tactic too many times. It was the most common trick women used. First, show you care to distract and make you lose control. Then when you start to pursue her, she would play hot and cold, making your heart flutter. Step by step, you lose control and become a simju, a follower led by the nose. Thinking that Sukmuk was not simple, a type of woman in the legends who specializes in charming guys like him, he made a silent vow. A man who is tied up should never fall into a woman's trap. After finishing the first aid, Jin Juan buttoned up his shirt and straightened his tie. Coldly, he said, "Officer Sukmuk, I feel we should maintain some distance. We've only known each other for a day. Please respect that." Sukmuk, slightly taken aback, responded with a pout. What are you talking about? I saw you were injured and just wanted to help. Are you angry? Jin Juan replied bluntly, I'm not angry. I already have someone I like. I don't want you to misunderstand. He continued tactfully, You're a very nice girl. If we had met earlier, maybe I would have had the courage to pursue you. But life isn't full of what-ifs. If I were a flirt, you'd surely hate me, right? Hearing Jin Juan's words, Sukmuk looked at him with admiration. She thought, I never expected this seemingly carefree guy to be so loyal. Her heart couldn't help but flutter, and she screamed internally with joy. Oh my God, he's perfect for me. Jin Juan then caught a taxi and left. Sukmuk watched him from above, feeling a bit regretful that they couldn't spend more time together. Her eyes filled with determination. Jin Juan, the days ahead are long. You can't push me away forever. A top-notch man like you, I can't let you fall into the hands of those bad women. Down in the lobby, even though Jin Bingsul had said she would wait for Jin Juan, she had fallen asleep like a log, dreaming and calling out his name. A while later, morning arrived. Jin Juan returned to Jukji's mansion, exhausted. He sighed heavily as he stepped out of the car, worn out from a full day and night of chaos. I'm so tired I've lost weight. I'll go to Jukji's place, take a shower, and sleep. As he headed towards the bathroom, he suddenly heard the sound of running water. Surprised, he walked in to see Jukji was at home. Behind the glass, obscured by steam, he couldn't see everything clearly, but her body was flawless from top to bottom. Jin Juan thought to himself, Jukji, are you using this to test me? You really have too much faith in my self-control. At that moment, Jin Juan was deeply torn between good and evil. Should he go in? Maybe the chairman wouldn't mind. But the angelic side of him kept saying, no, you can't disappoint the chairman. Meanwhile, the devilish side urged, go in, be bold. His nose started to bleed as he struggled with his thoughts. The bathroom door slowly opened, but it wasn't Jukji who stepped out. Instead, it was an unfamiliar girl who exclaimed happily, Aki, your bathroom is bigger than my entire house. This is so comfortable. Jin Juan, realizing the person in front of him wasn't the chairman, hesitated. The girl looked at him, froze, and then screamed, Oh my God, a pervert. Her scream echoed through the entire mansion. Jin Juan, embarrassed, stood there bewildered, wondering who this girl was and why she was in Jukji's house. The girl ran out crying and threw herself into Jukji's arms, sobbing, I can't get married anymore. He saw everything. You have to stand up for me. Jukji comforted her. Ming, don't cry. It's just a misunderstanding. Jin Juan, feeling reassured by Jukji's presence, didn't bother explaining. He coldly turned and said, Okay, please explain. I'm going to take a shower. The silver-haired girl, Ming, was Jukji's best friend. She shouted angrily, misunderstanding my ass. That guy is a pervert, a total creep. He saw my body and didn't even apologize. Aki, what's your relationship with him? Jukji, blushing, turned away and whispered, Oh, he's my friend. Ming, seeing her friend's reaction, felt something was off. She thought, this doesn't make sense. Since when does Aki defend a man like this? Are they in a relationship? Ming, determined, ran to Jukji and said, I want to warn you. You're now a wealthy woman. Don't hang around with poor guys from lower classes. It's embarrassing. Jukji, confused, asked, Poor? Who are you talking about? Ming replied, Who else? That guy from earlier. Look at you now, living in a mansion and earning so much money as a streamer. You're elite now. How can an ordinary man like him be worthy of you? Aki awkwardly laughed and said, Are you talking about Jin Juan? Jin Juan is really good. Besides, he's truly exceptional, not like you think. Feeling incredibly flustered and needing someone to save her, Aki didn't know how to explain it to her friend. When she invited Ming over to her house, she impulsively let Ming believe the mansion was her own purchase. Seeing her friend in such denial, Ming, now furious, said, Exceptional? In this society, we only look at resources and background. Can his exceptional qualities turn into money? You're still young, you need to seize opportunities and choose the right partner. Meng Meng then told Aki about an example of what a truly exceptional and wealthy man is like. At yesterday's auction, a wealthy man, some Mr. Yen, spent 500 million RMB to buy a piano. He must have bought it for the person he loves. How romantic. This is the kind of man you should be looking for. Meng Meng was still lost in her fantasy of romantic love, envisioning that a romantic man like this would be her crush. Little did she know, the very man she was describing as a pervert was Jin Juan. Aki, seeing her friend's delusion, felt speechless. Meng Meng's romantic fantasies were even more far-fetched than her own. Just then, the doorbell rang. "Hello, is this Miss Joki? Your package has arrived. Please sign here," said the delivery person. Aki went to sign for it, leaving Meng Meng curious. "What did you buy?" Meng Meng asked. Aki replied, "Oh, yesterday, Jin Juan said he wanted to give me a gift. I think it's a piano." Meng Meng, still furious, marched outside and shouted, "A piano? Let me see what kind of piano that poor guy can give you. Don't tell me it's some piano model." Feeling annoyed that her boyfriend was being criticized, Aki retorted, "If you keep saying things like that, I'll get angry." The two of them walked to the door, feeling a strong gust of wind from the helicopter preparing to land. They heard voices from above. "Attention, attention. This is a special delivery. The package is ready, and the area is secure." Below, a line of armored vehicles and trucks arrived, escorted by a heavily armed police unit with advanced equipment. The two girls were so shocked they nearly fell over. What kind of gift required such a grand display? Was this piano once played by a king? The two of them stared at the piano, covered by a red silk cloth, trying to guess what was underneath. Aki said, "What kind of piano did Jin Juan buy? While checking the security and verifying identities, I feel like we're receiving a national treasure." Meng Meng, sounding skeptical, replied, It's just a bit too flashy." The more insecure a man is about his gift, the more effort he puts into the packaging. Meng Meng then moved forward and yanked the cloth away, saying, "Let's see what it actually is." As she unveiled it, a blinding light emerged, forcing Meng Meng to shield her eyes. "What the heck is this? It's so dazzling." Before them was the piano Jin Juan had brought from the auction last night. It was a crystal piano, its beauty illuminated by the light streaming through the window, making the entire room sparkle. Aki was moved and exclaimed, "It's beautiful. This is a crystal piano." Meng Meng, however, initially dismissed it as a fake and started tapping around. As she touched it, she was astonished to realize that what she was feeling was a small fortune. How much did it cost to make a piano out of a single crystal? Meng Meng wondered. Could it be that I misjudged this guy and he's actually a tycoon? Meng Meng's face was full of doubt as she recalled Jin Juan's demeanor, thinking it impossible that such an unkempt person could be wealthy. He looked no different from the security guards at her building. At that moment, a broadcast replayed the entire charity auction from the night before. The charity event in Hanseon had been a success, and the footage revealed an astonishing scene at the auction. The screen then showed the auction's main figure, the mysterious tycoon of the city, Mr. Yen, who spent 500 million RMB to buy the crystal piano, breaking the auction house's record. Hearing the amount 500 million RMB struck Meng Meng like a lightning bolt, leaving her stunned and gaping. 500 million RMB? For a piano? Meng Meng was in shock. Aki, feeling proud, turned to Meng Meng and said, "See, I told you Jin Juan was exceptional. You didn't believe me and judged him by his appearance. What I value isn't just his wealth, but his character and inner qualities." Behind Jin Juan, a voice was heard. "Is the piano here already? I thought it would arrive tomorrow." That was quick. Meng Meng turned to look and saw Jin Juan, freshly showered, looking incredibly handsome. His appearance was radiant, and his demeanor exuded a refined elegance as he walked with his long legs. Meng Meng thought to herself, "Oh my gosh, he's so handsome." The person before her, a figure of elegance and charm, changed her perception entirely. She mused, "This guy has a bit of that green tea vibe, just like Sidom." Jin Juan approached, and Aki shyly said, "Thank you, Jin Juan. I really love this gift. It's too precious." Jin Juan responded with sweet words, "Precious? How could it not be? You are a priceless treasure in my heart. He continued, I have to head out for a business meeting soon. Would you like to join me? Jin Juan was mentally calculating his schedule, planning to check out the office building of that chubby kid. Aki, turning to Meng, thought it wouldn't be right to leave her alone at home, even if she was her best friend. So she gently declined Jin Juan's invitation, saying, sorry, I can't join you. My best friend is visiting today. I can't just abandon her. Jin Juan replied, that's fine. I'll go alone. You stay and enjoy your time with your friend. As Jin Juan stepped outside, he couldn't help but laugh. Abandoning friends for a lover, he thought, shaking his head. The system notification popped up, indicating SIMU binding successful. Target: Meng. Current affection level: 20. Jin Juan smirked at the system message and thought, Jokgi, you're really naive. You see this green tea girl as a friend, but she's already pining for your man. Me. Jukjai, still blissfully unaware of the situation, continued to happily play the piano and said, Meng, listen to this. The sound is amazing. Meng, however, was more interested in her own thoughts. A guy who's both handsome and wealthy. How wonderful it would be if he were my boyfriend. There are so many men out there, but only my best friend's man catches my interest, she thought with a sly grin. Since Aki refused to go shopping, Jin Juan decided to meet with Soyaku to address the misunderstanding between them that still hadn't been resolved. Soyaku was furious that morning. Jin Juan seemed to have vanished without a trace and didn't bother to get in touch with her. She was enraged that after avoiding her for so long, he now wanted to meet her to discuss business, and even expected her to come to him without offering to pick her up. It was incredibly frustrating. Soyaku reflected on Jin Juan's recent cold attitude towards her and wondered if his indifference was because he couldn't get what he wanted that night. Angrily, she punched the air and muttered to herself, what kind of man is this? So infuriating. At that moment, Jin Juan was waiting, and the system notified him that Soyaku's affection level had decreased by 1, now standing at 95. He was puzzled by this unexpected drop in affection and looked up to see Soyaku glaring at him with an expression that seemed ready to pounce. He was slightly apprehensive, thinking that his failure to pick her up might be the issue. Women's thoughts could be so incomprehensible sometimes. Trying to appease her, Jin Juan took Soyaku's hand and led her through the streets, trying to emulate the romantic gestures of a couple in love. Jin Juan quickly pulled out his phone and called Soi. I'm on my way to your office building. Can you send someone to pick me up? Soi, seeing the deity arriving, quickly responded, Okay, Mr. Yen. Don't worry, I'll arrange it. Meanwhile, Soyaku, still sulking over Jin Juan's perceived weakness, scolded him. In his mind, Jin Juan thought about how apologies or soothing words had little effect on someone like Soyaku. The only thing that would truly work was using money to solve the problem, throwing enough cash at it until she was left speechless and questioning her own judgments. A while later, at a large building, Soi and his father were already at the entrance, preparing a lavish setup to welcome their esteemed guest. Soi's father asked skeptically, Does this Mr. Yen really have a significant background? Is he worth all this fuss? Soi replied confidently, Trust me, Dad. My judgment on people is never wrong. Mr. Yen is incredibly wealthy. He could easily buy this building if he wanted to. His father responded, All right, if you say so. I'm curious to see what kind of person he is today. Let's see what he's really like. Meanwhile, an elderly bald man, accompanied by Sidong, noticed Soi and his father preparing to welcome someone. The bald man remarked with surprise, I wonder what's special about today. He's personally coming down to greet someone. Sidong, curious, asked, Is this person really that important? The bald man replied seriously, Sidong, you're new here and might not know yet. This entire office building belongs to his family. He added with a touch of emotion. Even though I have my own company and earn over 10 million a year, I'm nothing compared to him. Sidong was stunned, thinking, Is this what the world of the wealthy is like? Earning 10 million a year seems insignificant compared to them. Just then, Sidong recognized someone and realized, Wait a minute. That's him. In the distance, Jin Juan and Soakyu had arrived, shaking hands and greeting the elderly man warmly. The elderly man, Ju Huai, welcomed Jin Juan with obvious delight, saying, "Hello, Mr. Yen. I'm Ju Huai, the owner of Kimyu. My son has spoken highly of you." Jin Juan responded courteously, "You're too kind, Mr. Ju Hui. I apologize for the trouble of having you personally come down here." Zoe, flustered, quickly invited Jin Juan inside. "Mr. Yen, please come in. Let me introduce you." Ju Huai, noticing Zoe's nervousness, suggested, "Zoe, you should go and call the elevator. You seem nervous and might take all afternoon. Let me handle the introduction." Jin Juan chuckled lightly. "You two are too funny." Seodong, still in shock, dropped the file she was holding, her face pale with disbelief. She muttered, "Why is Jin Juan here? The person Ju Hui wanted to welcome is him." At the Kimyu building, Ju Hui was giving Jin Juan a tour and introducing him to the building's features. Ju Hui said, "This building was started 11 years ago and completed in 12 years. It has been in use for 9 years now. Currently, there are more than 300 companies based here. The first to 10th floors are shopping centers, featuring fashion, cinemas, technicians, and more. Although the shopping center is facing some difficulties right now, the location of the building remains excellent, and business is still booming. Above the 10th floor are the office spaces, including financial companies, online gaming companies, and intermediary companies, so the annual rental fees are quite high." Jin Juan listened intently and chatted with Ju Hui, while Soyaku, who was following behind, felt truly bored. She thought to herself that if it was just about business, there was no need to drag her along. Now, Jin Juan was ignoring her, which made her quite frustrated. Soyaku stood there, watching Jin Juan and feeling increasingly irritated. Despite Jin Juan's apparent aloofness, he was still secretly observing her emotions. Ju Hui asked, "Jin Juan, would you like me to show you each floor?" Jin Juan replied, "No need to rush. We can see them later. Yaku, what do you think of this building?" Soyaku, feeling annoyed, was a bit flustered and replied, "It's quite good." Jin Juan generously said, "Great, that's all I needed to know. I've decided to buy this building." Ju Hui, shocked, asked, "Are you serious, Jin Juan? You really want to buy Kimyu and give it to this lady?" Jin Juan looked at Yaku affectionately and responded firmly, "Yes, that's right. As long as she likes it, nothing else matters." Ju Hui was astonished by Jin Juan's words. He thought it was understandable for Jin Juan to buy a building, given his wealth, but giving away such a valuable asset to someone else was beyond comprehension. Soyaku felt a bit uneasy and exclaimed, "Jin Juan, are you joking? This is a whole building." Jin Juan, with a bad boy demeanor, calmly explained, "Of course, I'm not joking. Yaku, buying this building means you can just focus on collecting rent in the future. Now you're a shareholder, and you have control over your family's company. On the outside, it might seem like you have a good position, but in reality, you're under a lot of pressure. I don't want you to be so stressed. With this building, no matter what happens with your family, you're guaranteed security for life." Hearing Jin Juan's sweet words, Soyaku couldn't contain her feelings of love for him any longer. She thought, Jin Juan, such a warm and caring man. I've been blaming him, doubting him. Shouldn't I change my attitude? The young lady was genuinely moved by Jin Juan's gesture. Her doubts about the man's intentions faded away. The system notified. Soyaku's affection level increased by 3 points. Current affection level, 98 points. Soyaku's affection level has reached 98 points. Reward, 20 enhancement points. Remaining enhancement points, 49. Ju Hui then approached and brought the two back to reality. He held Jin Juan's hand and said, "Both of you have reached an agreement. The total value of the building is 2.6 billion RMB. What do you think?" Jin Juan, with a serious expression, took out a black power card and said, 2.6 billion is fine. Let's proceed with the process. As long as the paperwork is completed, the 2.6 billion will be transferred today. Ju Hui confirmed, "Got it. The process will start immediately. The money will be transferred as soon as all formalities are completed." Jin Juan's approach was far from conventional. Instead of charming women with affection, he used money to win them over, establishing a harem where he expected 100% submission and no resistance. The pinnacle of a typical male character's behavior could indeed involve such a dramatic move. Whether this scenario actually unfolds remains to be seen as the story progresses. Zhu Huai quickly rushed off to complete all the arrangements. The handover ceremony, contract and transfer of property rights were finalized and the payment had been received. Jin Juan was now the new owner of the Kimyu building. The crowd around them applauded enthusiastically, welcoming the new owner. Jin Juan gestured towards Soya-kyu and said, "I'm just the one paying. The new owner of the Kimyu building is her." Soya-kyu, who was mentioned, felt a bit embarrassed. The staff bowed respectfully and called out, "Welcome, Madam Boss." It was the first time Soya-kyu was addressed in this way. She finally understood what it felt like to be a boss. Thinking about her father, who spent all day at the office and didn't want to go home, she felt a deep sense of joy and excitement. The sensation of being greeted with respect wherever she went was truly captivating and satisfying. Meanwhile, Sidong, who was nearby, noticed the many people from the real estate industry and wondered. Her friend explained, "You probably don't know, but the owner of the Kimyu building has changed. The new owner is just 20 years old. It's said that someone used over 2 billion RMB to buy the building and give it to her. It's incredible, so generous. Even online novels wouldn't dare to write something like this." Sidong could only watch in silence, reflecting from the background. It felt like they were in completely different worlds. Her friend continued to admire Jin Juan, who was handsome and wealthy. "If only someone would do the same for me," she thought. When Sidong looked back, she had already disappeared, running away and crying, feeling a bit forlorn. Everything should have been hers. Why was it like this? Her eyes became determined as she vowed, "I'm so angry. Jin Juan, I will definitely pursue you, no matter what it takes." Scene shifts to an elevated train. Yakyu and Jin Juan are heading home after the welcoming party at the newly purchased building. Yakyu says, "Jin Juan, it's quite surprising that you're taking the subway with me today. Where's your Ferrari?" Caught off guard by the question, Jin Juan quickly comes up with an excuse. "Well, I thought it would be nice to spend more time with you. Taking the subway is quite enjoyable. I like this close, everyday experience." Yakyu smiles and replies, "I feel the same way. Today has been very meaningful." Suddenly, Yakyu innocently brings up an unrelated topic, startling Jin Juan. She asks, "By the way, do you know Go Jeonium?" Jin Juan's face turns pale and he starts sweating. "Ah, Go Jeonium. Isn't she a celebrity? Why do you ask?" Jin Juan is internally panicking, unsure if Yakyu is serious or just joking. He thinks, did she find out something? "Calm down, Jin Juan. Stay composed." Yakyu says, "No, it's just about her issues with the director. Didn't it make a lot of news? Weibo was all over it today." Jin Juan scratches his head and laughs nervously. "Oh really? I don't pay much attention to online news." He feels relieved and silently thanks his luck. Seems like she's just making casual conversation. That was a close call. If she had found out about my connection with Go Jeonium, it would have been disastrous. As Yakyu scrolls through Weibo, she casually says, "The trending topics are pretty dull these days. A few days ago, there was a hot search about some rich idiot who auctioned off a crystal piano for 500 million RMB. Ridiculous, right?" Her words, though seemingly trivial, hit Jin Juan like an arrow. He thinks, "You must know who this foolish rich guy is." Jin Juan responds, "Have you looked into it?" Yakyu replies angrily, "Of course not. It's such nonsense. 500 million RMB for a piano. Does he even know who he's buying it for?" Noticing that Jin Juan is sweating excessively, Yakyu asks, "Jin Juan, why are you sweating so much?" Jin Juan simply smiles and says, "It's nothing. It's just a bit hot on the train." After a while, the two parted ways and went home. Jin Juan sighed with relief, thinking, this isn't just taking the subway, it's more like being in prison. As he walked, Jin Juan pondered whether Soya-kyu had discovered anything and was intentionally probing him. Suddenly, he received a frantic call from a close friend, who said, Jin Juan, hurry back to the dorm. Jin Bing-seol has been standing outside the male dormitory for 6 hours now, waiting for someone. Jin Juan was startled and thought, what does Jin Bing-seol want? What's she doing? Seeing that Jin Bing-seol had been waiting for 6 hours, the students gathered to watch the spectacle, gossiping about why such a legendary beauty like Jin Bing-seol was waiting outside the male dormitory. They wondered why she was back when she had already graduated and who she might be waiting for. They were curious and astonished, speculating that she must be waiting for someone significant, almost like she was waiting for her husband. They even questioned if she was really a lesbian. Jin Bing-seol stood silently, ignoring the chatter behind her. She looked at her phone, realizing that 6 hours had passed and Jin Juan still hadn't shown up. How would she handle this? Since waking up at the police station this morning and finding Jin Juan gone, she couldn't understand why she had ended up waiting here. Her heart fluttered whenever she thought about him. Is it possible that I like Jin Juan? But he's Aki's boyfriend, isn't he? Jin Juan, observing from behind the crowd, assessed the situation and thought, is Jin Bing-seol really here waiting for me? Meanwhile, Jin Bing-seol, determined, thought to herself that she would definitely invest in the company and had no other intentions. However, when she finally saw Jin Juan approaching, she immediately ran up and embraced him tightly in a very affectionate manner. This unexpected and intense display of affection surprised Jin Juan. What's she doing? Why is she throwing herself at me like this? The onlookers were startled and exclaimed, oh my God, what am I seeing? Jin Bing-seol is throwing herself into someone's arms. Who is that? As Jin Bing-seol nestled into Jin Juan's arms, he felt a comforting, warm, and protective sensation. Jin Juan, feeling embarrassed, stammered, Jin Bing-seol. Jin Bing-seol, acting coy, said, don't push me away. Let me hug you a little longer. Jin Juan's friends on the upper floor quickly gathered at the balcony, using binoculars to watch the scene. Yu Moon-chio commented to the others in the room, someone slapped me. Jin Bing-seol is hugging Jin Juan. Oh my God, it's really Jin Juan. I want to hit him. Do, unable to see clearly, urged, let me see too. Suddenly, it started to rain heavily with thunder and lightning. The onlookers dispersed, saying, it's raining. Let's get out of here. Despite the rain, Jin Juan and Jin Bing-seol remained outside. Jin Juan put his arm around her shoulders and said, Jin Bing-seol, it's raining heavily. We should find shelter to avoid getting sick. Jin Bing-seol, a bit taken aback, replied, shelter? Oh, right. Meanwhile, in the dorm room, Jin Juan's friends were still in awe, having seen the legendary beauty of Ho-dae up close. They marveled, wow, we're lucky to witness this. Seeing Jin Bing-seol awkwardly standing there, Jin Juan said, Jin Bing-seol, make yourself comfortable. I'll get you some water. She didn't hesitate and sat down right where she was. Jin Juan assessed the surroundings, noting that the male dormitory wasn't as dirty and chaotic as he'd heard. His friends, crowding around, teased Jin Juan, you actually brought Jin Bing-seol back to the dorm. How did you manage that? Jin Juan, feeling embarrassed, replied, I didn't really plan to bring her here. Just then, Jin Bing-seol, innocently commenting, said, wow, Jin Juan, you have a pile of dirty laundry here. What's this? Jin Juan was shocked to see Jin Bing-seol holding up one of his underwear, completely unfazed. As it got darker, Jin Bing-seol, covering her face in embarrassment, thought about how she had just held Jin Juan's underwear. She wished she could dig a hole and hide. Jin Juan, looking at the clearing sky, said, the rain has stopped. Jin Bing-seol, I'll take you home. She responded, okay. The two of them walked out of the male dormitory. Jin Juan casually said, so, Jin Bing-seol, did you come to see me today about the investment? Actually, you could have just messaged me on WeChat. Jin Bing-seol seemed to have an epiphany and responded, yes, I came for the investment. I was looking for you for that reason. Could there be another reason? But if it's just for the investment, why invite me to meet? I even ended up falling into your arms, and now I want to stay here a bit longer. Laughing, Jin Bing-seol said, but I don't have your WeChat, Jin Juan. Can you give me yours? Looking at him with hopeful eyes, she thought, finally asking for WeChat. Jin Juan, surprised, thought, so she waited downstairs for 6 hours just for this. It's the 21st century, and yet someone is so earnest. The streets of Hanseong were bustling and chaotic. After Jin Bing-sul successfully got Jin Juan's WeChat, he said, "All right, now you can reach me anytime." Jin Bing-sul was thrilled and asked, "Really? I can contact you anytime?" Realizing she might be overly eager, she reined in her enthusiasm and added, "I mean, regarding the investment, I can contact you anytime." Jin Juan then grew cold. Before leaving, he said, "Don't worry about the investment. Tomorrow morning, take me to visit the KJet Technology Company. I'll handle it from here." Watching Jin Juan's retreating figure, Jin Bing-sul was filled with a mix of emotions. She wondered if she was being inappropriate, but being near him made her feel warm and secure, though her eyelashes shed a few tears. Yet, he was someone else's boyfriend. What would Aki think of her? The next morning, as scheduled, Jin Juan and Jin Bing-sul went to KJet Technology Company to discuss the investment. Early in the morning, Jin Juan received a message from Yakyu. She wrote, "Jin Juan, today is the day to collect the rent for Kimyu Building. Can you come with me? It's my first time, and I'm a bit worried." Jin Juan replied, "You're the owner now, so you don't need to handle everything yourself. Just let your subordinates take care of it. I have something to do today." In the back seat of the car, Jin Bing-sul looked at Jin Juan with a suspicious gaze and asked, "Who were you chatting so happily with? It wasn't Aki, was it?" Jin Juan felt a bit alarmed, thinking he might have upset her somehow. After just one evening, her mood had shifted from cheerful to sullen. He wondered if she might be dealing with mood swings or something more serious. Jin Bing-sul's face showed sadness as she thought, no matter how much she felt secure around him, he was someone else's boyfriend. She couldn't be the other woman and ruin someone else's relationship. Besides, there were other women around him as well. Jin Bing-sul took out her phone and notified her boss. "The boss will arrive at the company in 10 minutes. "Yes, I'll keep an eye out." The taxi came to a stop. "Jin Juan, we've arrived," she said. Before Jin Juan was the Kimyu Building. He seemed at a loss for words and asked, "We're not going to be working in this building, are we?" Jin Bing-sul, looking at him with suspicion, answered, "Yes, we are." "Is there a problem?" Jin Juan's expression turned sour, and he thought, with so many office buildings in Hanseong, why does it have to be this one? What if I run into Soyaku? It can't be that coincidental, can it? Such a big building. Yakyu mentioned they would be collecting rent today. She must be busy, so we probably won't run into her. As Jin Juan and Jin Bing-sul approached the elevator, they pressed the button, and the doors opened to reveal Soyaku. Jin Juan was a bit surprised to hear the familiar voice. "Soyaku, what are you doing here? Didn't you say you had other plans today?" Inside the elevator, Jin Juan felt trapped between the two beautiful women, looking uncomfortable and pressured. Even though he was flanked by two beauties, the situation felt like he was caught between a rock and a hard place, his face showing signs of stress and affection. The three of them remained silent in the elevator until the ding announced their arrival. Jin Juan, feeling nervous, tried to calm himself. He thought, "I must not panic. I need to stay calm and not show any signs of guilt." Although Soyaku didn't ask anything, Jin Juan still felt tense and guilty. He said, "I'm here to discuss a potential collaboration with their company." Yakyu introduced Jin Bing-sul. "This is Jin Bing-sul, the former president of the student council at Hode. She now works at KJet Technology Ltd." Jin Juan turned to introduce Soyaku. "This is Soyaku, my high school friend. She's now the owner of the Kimyu Building." Jin Bing-sul looked surprised, observing the young and wealthy owner of the Kimyu Building. She noted that the rental cost of the building was over 100 million per year. Seeing this, Jin Bing-sul was taken aback, realizing that not only was Soyaku rich and beautiful, but also a high school friend of Jin Juan, implying a close relationship between them. Jin Bing-sul extended her hand, saying, "Hello, I'm Jin Bing-sul. Nice to meet you." Yakyu, assessing this formidable rival, responded coldly, "Hello." The two women shook hands, their expressions competitive, each recognizing that the other was not a friend but a competitor. Yakyu thought, a beautiful senior like this for a collaboration? Jin Juan, you're fooling me, aren't you? I know wealthy men are often unfaithful, but you're being too obvious. She glared at Jin Juan, internally cursing, you're too busy to help me with the rent, but free to meet with a beautiful senior. Just wait until I deal with you. Jin Juan, feeling the intense atmosphere, remained silent and fearful. As the elevator doors opened, Jin Bingsil stepped out and said, Jin Juan, please wait here while I go in and speak with the boss. Jin Bingsil, thinking, you're just asking for trouble, messing around with everyone, left him behind, deliberately leaving him in an awkward position. Jin Juan, feeling abandoned and helpless, reached out in vain for support, but found none. He looked pitiful, realizing he was now on his own. Feeling the risk of disaster, Jin Juan could only rely on himself. He scratched his head awkwardly and said to Yakyu, I have something I want to talk to you about. Yakyu, who was now like a petulant child, was not easily placated. She coldly responded, speak. Jin Juan whispered into Yakyu's ear, Yakyu, you need to be careful about Jin Bingsil. Yakyu, puzzled, asked, careful? Why? Jin Juan, with a serious expression, said, she's a well-known lesbian on campus. She specifically seeks out beautiful girls. I'm worried she might try to seduce you. Yakyu's eyes widened with curiosity as she exclaimed, really? Is it true? Seeing that she was hooked, Jin Juan swore, of course, it's true. Trust me. Jin Bingsil then turned back and said to Jin Juan, come on in. The boss is waiting for you in the conference room. As Jin Juan walked away, he turned back and said to Yakyu, I'm here to discuss a project with their company. Let's have lunch together if you're free. Yakyu's eyes narrowed with suspicion as she watched the two of them leave. She thought, the student council president at Hoba is a lesbian? I need to confirm this. She remembered a senior who had pursued her persistently but was rejected. The senior was known as Yang and was still at Hode. Yakyu decided to ask him. When Yang received a call from Soyaku, he was astonished and thought, is this a dream? Soyaku is actually calling me. Am I about to make a comeback? Determined to stay composed, Yang tried to sound cool and replied, hello, Yakyu. You're asking about Jin Bingsil. His friends watched him, puzzled, as Yang kept striking poses. They wondered if he was having a seizure. Yang began to explain Jin Bingsil's past with a somewhat smug expression. Jin Bingsil is quite pitiful. She was kidnapped when she was young, and her personality changed drastically. She developed a strong aversion to and hatred for men. Eventually, she became a lesbian. I've heard she seduced several female students at our school. The entire student council is practically her harem. No girl she targets can escape her grasp. She's very intimidating. Yakyu, delighted, responded, so it's true. Jin Juan wasn't lying after all. It seems like there's really nothing between him and Jin Bingsil. Hearing Jin Juan's name, Yang became disgruntled and said, why are you mentioning Jin Juan? Can't you wait for him to finish? Yakyu quickly replied, all right, thank you, Yang, and ended the call with a beep. Yang was alarmed when he realized that the goddess was calling him only to investigate Jin Bingsil's connection with Jin Juan. He thought, could it be that Jin Juan and Yakyu are together now? That can't be right. I need to make sure Yakyu sees Jin Juan's true colors. However, he suddenly noticed that he was blocked. The screen of his phone displayed the following message. Yakyu, listen to me. Jin Juan is a genuine scumbag, not a good person. Why have you blocked me? Did I do something wrong? On the other side, Soyaku was reflecting deeply. It seemed that Jin Juan wasn't lying to her. On the contrary, Yang, who spoke ill of Jin Bingsil and enjoyed it, probably wasn't a good person after all. It was better to keep him blocked. At the same time, inside the Kimyu building, at the Kjit company office, the female director was introducing their app, Koifish. Since its launch in 2018, we have garnered 30 million users. In just 3 years, our daily activity data reaches approximately 5 million. This result ranks among the best for all internet startup companies. We plan to introduce more technologies in the future to revolutionize the industry and gain a larger market share. Jin Juan listened, feeling like he was hearing a sermon for an hour. He didn't understand much of what she was saying. It was so boring and sleep-inducing with all the convoluted and hard-to-understand details. Seeing her ramble on endlessly, he raised his hand to signal her to stop and said, "All right, Ms. Zuo, I get everything you're saying. Enough with the roundabout talk. Just give me a straight answer. How much is your company worth?" Surprised by his directness, the director thought, given his status and background, he's indeed capable of acting unconventionally. She had in mind a price of 1 billion RMB, but previous funding attempts had only managed to secure 100 million RMB. She hoped Jin Juan wouldn't haggle too much. With a serious expression, she declared, "I'm offering 1 billion RMB. Jin Juan, after hearing this, squinted and responded, "1 billion? That's a bit much. I knew it was too high." He then put on a frustrated face, picked his nose, and said, "Just 1 billion, and you've been dragging this out for half a day. You should have stated it directly from the start. No need to waste so many words." Hearing the 4 words 1 billion, the director was shocked to the core. With this bold offer from Jin Juan, he said, "Let's do it this way. I'll buy 49% of your company's shares for 1 billion, but I have a condition." She looked at him suspiciously, wondering what condition he might be adding. What could it be? Was he thinking of something perverted? Could he want something like that from her? It seemed unlikely given their age difference, but the preferences of rich people were quite peculiar. She suddenly felt quite flustered. Jin Juan leaned in and said, "My condition is that the shares are transferred to Jinbing Seal's name." After negotiating and finalizing the contract, the deal was done. Jin Juan returned to his place, and Jinbing Seal, who was preparing tea, was astonished. She had thought it would take half the day, but it was completed so quickly. Jinbing Seal asked, "How did the investment discussion with the director go?" Jin Juan smiled and replied, "No problem at all. With your talent, you'll be promoted and get a raise soon enough." Jinbing Seal, with a serious expression, said, "Right now, I'm not thinking about promotion or salary increases. What's important is what your next plans are." Jin Juan, confused, responded, "What plans?" Jinbing Seal, with an angry look, shouted at Soyaku outside, "Don't think I don't see through your relationship with him. Let me ask you, between Soyaku and Jokji, who would you choose?" She pondered deeply, considering Jin Juan's plans and why she hadn't asked directly about his intentions with both of them. Was it with Aki or with herself? Jin Juan smirked and answered, "You're asking me who I'd choose between the two. Of course, I want both. Only a fool would choose just one." Jinbing Seal was appalled by Jin Juan's shamelessness. She stared in disbelief. "You want both?" Jin Juan, maintaining a nonchalant demeanor, asked, "Is it a problem if I want both?" Seeing Jin Juan's attitude, Jinbing Seal was furious and shouted, "You're really something. I can't believe you would say such things. Luckily, I didn't realize it at that time. Otherwise, even I." Before Jinbing Seal could finish her sentence, Jin Juan cut her off. "What do you think? Haven't you known that I like to flirt with women? You know I'm a disgusting low-life scumbag. But yesterday, you threw yourself into my arms and asked me to take you home. I find you quite contradictory. Why don't you just admit that you like me? Why ask me to choose between you and Joki? Why didn't you ask if I should choose you?" Caught off guard and unable to hide her feelings, Jinbing Seal's face turned red with embarrassment and shock. Jin Juan noticed her stunned expression and realized he had hit the mark. He thought of Jinbing Seal as a book he had read, getting every answer right. Before leaving, Jin Juan added a few more words about emotions. "I think I'm more generous than you. What right do you have to teach me a lesson? Come back to me after you've figured out the answer. Don't just throw it away like that. I'm leaving." While Jin Juan appeared cool and composed inside the room, outside he looked quite smug, relishing the feeling of reprimanding a beautiful woman. It was a satisfying, prolonged thrill. Jinbing Seal, who had never been scolded by a man before, was not angry. Instead, she reflected on herself, questioning whether she was indeed a hypocrite. Given what Jin Juan said, did she really have any right to teach him a lesson? As she stood there in a daze, an employee rushed over and said, "Bing Seol, why are you still here? The boss has called an emergency meeting. All employees must attend. Hurry up." Seeing this, Jin Seol's face turned serious. She wondered what had happened. Was the investment negotiation with Jin Juan's company collapsing? The atmosphere in the meeting room was extremely tense. It was the first time the long-serving employees had experienced such an emergency meeting. They whispered among themselves, speculating about the purpose of the meeting. Why call all employees for a meeting? Did the investment fail and lead to bankruptcy? Are they planning to lay off everyone? Be quiet, you're just talking nonsense. But I wonder if they'll still pay everyone, or if they'll run away without paying. Bing Seol also felt the pressure, wondering what the boss, who always worked systematically and methodically, was planning that was causing such panic. The boss spoke loudly. "Everyone, listen carefully. The purpose of today's meeting is to announce the appointment of a new executive position. The next vice president of the company will be Jin Seol." The room erupted in shock. Jin Seol herself was bewildered, not understanding what was happening. Was she hearing this correctly? It left both her and the others stunned and stuttering. Vice president? But why? Long-serving employees in the company were very dissatisfied. One of them spoke up angrily. "She only started last week. Why is she qualified to be vice president? Based on seniority, she doesn't deserve it." An older employee, who was about to be passed over for promotion, slammed the table and angrily said, "This appointment is too hasty. I'm not satisfied." The boss, receiving a note, coldly responded, "Although her qualifications are few, her abilities are exceptional. You all don't realize the immense contributions she has made to our company. Here is the share transfer agreement. Now, she holds 49% of the company's shares, having attracted 1 billion RMB in capital investment into our company. Do you have any further questions?" The employees thought to themselves, "What's this overbearing move? 1 billion for shares, and Jin Seol gets it? If I were 20 years younger, I'd compete for this man." The female employees below whispered, 1 billion? Even if the company were packaged and sold, it wouldn't be worth that much. How did she manage this? Don't judge by appearances. Jin Seol actually has such capability. Should I build a relationship with her while I still can? The boss decisively waved her hand and said, "No more objections to this appointment. It's settled." Additionally, due to the new capital infusion, all employees will receive a bonus at the end of the year. The employees gave Jin Seol a round of applause. Hearing that they would receive bonuses due to the successful investment secured by Jin Seol, they cheered and clapped continuously. Jin Seol was so embarrassed that her face turned completely red. She marveled at how 1 billion RMB bought 49% of the shares, and thought of Jin Juan's lewd face when he hinted at his flirtation with her. It wasn't Aki or Soeaku. It was really her that he liked. For the first time in her life, Jin Seol felt loved by Jin Juan. Overwhelmed with joy and unable to contain her happiness, she rushed out of the meeting room, leaving everyone astonished. She shouted internally, "Jin Juan, where are you? I want to see you." The system then notified her. Jin Seol's favorability increased by 5. Jin Seol's favorability increased by 10. Current favorability, 95 points. Target lick bowl no, 8 detected. Favorability with the target exceeds 95 points. Successfully transformed into the target's lick bowl. Congratulations to the host for a successful counterattack. Reward, 35 points. Skill enhancement, mastery of unarmed combat. Total expenditure, 1 billion RMB. Reward for the host, RMB 100 million. Jin Juan smiled with satisfaction. Indeed, spending money had a better strategic effect than just hitting hard. Hitting hard could make people feel indifferent, while spending made them feel cautious, and it also made them feel like you had a plan. He remembered that spending money for sewer crack for the first time had been a bit premature, causing some caution and fear among people. Suddenly, his phone rang with the annoying ringtone he was so familiar with. Jin Juan was surprised to see that it was Go Jiaonium calling him. As he answered the call, he heard her sobbing uncontrollably. "Jin Juan, am I really so foolish?" she cried. Jin Juan, alarmed, asked, "Why are you crying so loudly?" Go Jeonium continued, weeping and sniffling. "Why has public opinion turned against me? Some major celebrities are supporting director Hoga now. The internet is full of people cursing at me, but I am clearly innocent." On the screen was a post by the famous actress Bang Sang-won supporting director Hoga, along with many others in the industry, including well-known celebrities and KOLs who also supported Hoga. Public opinion had turned around. Go Jeonim's account had been banned. Jin Juan, upon hearing this, scowled in frustration. He calmly reassured her in a deep voice, "All right, stop crying. I'll help you. Anyone who dares to mess with a woman using my money will not have a good outcome." Jin Juan specialized in dealing with wild animals, like rogue wolves. Suman was a case in point. The online community now sided with director Hoga, who was considered a disgusting figure in the industry, always trying to take advantage of beautiful novice actresses lacking support. Numerous expose articles had emerged, including a recent one with the headline, "Hoga's secret meeting with a new model at a nightclub." This person, known as Hoga, was a big shot in the film and television industry, reportedly using his resources to exploit female artists with unspoken rules. However, the primary reason for the shift in public opinion was that some famous actresses, including the prominent movie star Bang Sang-won, supported Hoga. Jin Juan, sipping his coffee, asked, "Does Bang Sang-won have such a significant influence?" Ho Chin continued, "Bang Sang-won likes to do charity work and has a very positive public image. Hoga's reversal of fortune is almost entirely due to her influence." Ho Chin added, "Therefore, if we want to take down Hoga, we need a powerful tactic." Jin Juan asked, "What kind of tactic?" Ho Chin handed him a paper with the address of a nearby location and said, "I've consulted some private investigators. After their investigation, they believe this person surely has compromising information about Hoga. If we can find this person, we might easily bring Hoga down." After a while, Jin Juan followed the address and arrived at an old building. Standing outside, he wondered how someone could work in such a place. As he began to search, he heard a loud voice coming from room 305. "What do you mean? Last month you said this month, and this month you say next month? Do you think we're a charity?" The tone sounded somewhat familiar. Jin Juan peeked in stealthily, like a spy sneaking a look at someone's bath. He was surprised to see the familiar face of Han So-gang, with a disheveled, radioactive-looking hairstyle, yelling aggressively, "Yang Se-kim, if you don't pay today, I'll break one of your limbs." Yang Se-kim, looking miserable, was crying and begging Han So-gang, "Please give me a few more days. I'm shooting a new film. It's going to be a hit. I'll pay you back tenfold." Han So-gang, clearly agitated, responded with a sneer, "You're asking for more time. I know you're in debt to Hoga, which is why you're in such a pitiful state. Do you think you can restart?" Yang Se-kim replied, "This new film really has potential." Han So-gang, unable to tolerate the whining, raised his stick and shouted, "What film? Today, I'm giving you a few beatings to remember." Suddenly, a commanding voice ordered, "Stop," but Han So-gang continued without hearing it. He was then struck with a powerful punch to the face, sending his dentures flying and causing him to scream like a pig being slaughtered. He flew 10 meters, crashing into the wall, his face swollen in rage. "Who dares to hit me?" he yelled furiously. Jin Juan appeared like a deity of vengeance before him, saying, "If your father Han Samsu dared to act arrogantly in front of me, he would meet the same fate." Han So-gang, realizing he had crossed a dangerous line, cried inwardly, "Why is it this devil?" Remembering what his father had warned about Jin Juan, a descendant of a wealthy hidden family, and now the heir, he realized he could not afford to provoke Jin Juan again. Han So-gang quickly changed his tone, pleading desperately, "Isn't this Uncle Yem? If you're here, I should leave now. Please don't see me off. I'm leaving immediately." Yang Se-kim, still stunned like a lost dog, couldn't comprehend what was happening. Why did this person suddenly switch sides? Han So-gang and his underlings quickly disappeared. Yang Se-kim looked up at Jin Juan, feeling moved. He thought, "This pig is famous for being stubborn in Hanseong, but this young man has made him fearful. If I had such a strong backing, I wouldn't fear that old man Hoba. Just as he was about to jump up and embrace his benefactor, Jin Juan said, "Stop with the snot. All right, the obstacle has been removed. You must be Yang Sa-kim, right? I need your help." Seeing that the person in front of him wanted to ask for his assistance, Yang Sa-kim responded, "We'll discuss what I can help with later. But first, I have a small request." He then kneeled and said loudly, "Please adopt me as your son. I will help you in your old age." Jin Juan was taken aback. "Adopt you as a son? Where did this come from? You look older than my own father." Yang Sa-kim continued, "So, are you willing to adopt me? How do you plan to overthrow Hoba?" Jin Juan, annoyed by Yang Sa-kim calling him father and being 10 years older, snapped, "I've told you I'm not your father. But I did come to you about this matter." Yang Sa-kim, looking serious, thought that Jin Juan might be the right person to trust with the hidden information. He said, "I do have something that could help overthrow Hoba, but I have a condition." Jin Juan, with a hopeful expression, replied, "Money is not an issue. What's your condition?" Yang Sa-kim's eyes were filled with determination as he slammed his hand on the table and said, "I don't need money. I want you to invest in my ongoing film project. I want to prove to everyone that Yang Sa-kim can rise again." Jin Juan, surprised, thought, "So he's dedicated to his art. No wonder he was a genius director," he said with a sly smile. "I just set up a film and television company for Go Jeonyeom. You can go to her for funding. If there are any issues, just let me know." Yang Sa-kim responded, "With such a promise from you, I'm at ease. I won't drag this out any longer." He then took out a secret weapon, saying, "With this, not just Hoba, but the entire entertainment industry will be shocked." Jin Juan looked at this adopted son, feeling somewhat skeptical. He asked, "Is this USB and the video what you're talking about?" Yang Sa-kim grinned, "Yes, exactly. Just open it and you'll see." As soon as Jin Juan clicked on the file, he saw the entire uncensored video. An old man, Hoga, and a female celebrity, Bang Sang-won, who was renowned for her charity work and had defended Hoba during the dispute, causing the entertainment industry to side with Hoba against Go Jeonyeom. Jin Juan, seeing this valuable evidence, sneered coldly. "So Bang Sang-won has such a relationship with Hoba. This is incredible. With this, I can definitely topple them." Yang Sa-kim awkwardly chuckled. "I wouldn't dare. Extortion is punishable by imprisonment, and I don't have much backing. I could disappear without a trace." Jin Juan put his arm around Yang Sa-kim and said, "Don't worry. Now that I'm here to back you up, no one will dare touch a hair on you. With this evidence, Hoga and Bang Sang-won are as good as done." Yang Sa-kim, overjoyed, replied, "Yes, father. No problem at all." Meanwhile, Go Jeonyeom was scrolling through the comments attacking her. Feeling infuriated, the number of keyboard warriors hired by Hoga and Bang Sang-won seemed endless, and the attacks had been going on for 3 days without stopping. Frustrated, she threw her phone aside and sighed, "Forget it. Maybe I should just withdraw from the entertainment industry. I'm simply not a match for those people." Suddenly, her phone rang. It was Jin Juan calling. She wondered why he was calling at this time. When she answered, Jin Juan's voice was urgent and hurried. "Go Jeonyeom, are you home?" She replied, "Yes, I'm at home. Is it just me here?" Jin Juan responded, "Forget it. I'm coming over to your house right now." Go Jeonyeom thought to herself, "Why is Jin Juan the lecher coming over? Especially asking if I'm alone. Does he finally want to take advantage of me?" A short while later, Jin Juan arrived at her villa. Hearing the doorbell, Go Jeonyeom, dressed provocatively, thought, "He's here already. He's really in a rush. He's no different from other men." She opened the door and saw Jin Juan standing there, looking somewhat disoriented. Go Jeonyeom, annoyed, shouted, "What the hell do you think you're doing, bringing someone over?" Jin Juan, confused and not understanding why he was being scolded by a woman, was at a loss. Jin Juan introduced the person beside him to Go Jeonyeom, saying, "Let me introduce director Yang Sa-kim. He's the one we're relying on to bring down Hoga." Yang Sa-kim, standing in front of the beautiful Go Jeonyeom for the first time, could only force a smile and greet her. Go Jeonyeom, realizing the truth, felt a bit embarrassed and responded, "Hello," while mentally wishing she could hide her face in shame. It turned out that Jin Juan wasn't interested in her sexually, but was genuinely intent on helping her. Having someone to rely on felt reassuring. A while later, the three of them gathered in the living room. Go Jianium was shown the uncensored video of the old man Hoga and Bang Sangwon. Upon seeing it, she was stunned, her eyes widening in shock. She couldn't believe that Bang Sangwon, who had built a reputation as a pure, charitable young woman, was involved in something so scandalous with an old man. Seeing her reaction, Jin Juan said, "With this evidence, Hoga and Bang Sangwon are finished. If you need more resources, I'll give you 2 billion to help you finish this as soon as possible. After that, we'll establish a film and television company, and director Yang Sa-kim will have the funding he needs to make the films he wants. It's a win-win situation." Yang Sa-kim, feeling deeply appreciative of Jin Juan's support, was excited about discussing the new company's establishment. Jin Juan, with a scheming smile, thought, 2 billion for this operation is nothing. Plus, with the film and television companies, the spending won't stop there. Go Jianium, realizing the potential, felt reassured and motivated. By the afternoon, the news had hit Hot Search with a shocking headline: "Inappropriate video released. Director Hoba and famous actress Bang Sang-won involved." Seeing the trending news, reporters swarmed in front of Bang Sang-won's company, eager to get interviews. "Ms. Bang Sang-won, could you explain the video that was released today? What is your relationship with director Hoba?" Her manager shouted, "Get out of the way. This video is a forgery. Stop harassing our artist." As she got into the car, Bang Sang-won could no longer maintain her calm demeanor, wondering who was behind this scheme and why such a video had surfaced. On the other side, at a hotel, old man Hoba was preparing for the first round when he was immediately apprehended by the police. "Hoba, right? We have received reports that you are suspected of sexually abusing several young women. Please come with us for questioning." Two police officers handed him a pair of silver handcuffs, which looked very stylish and elegant. Hoba looked at the beautiful handcuffs with a happy expression that left him speechless. At Gojinium's personal press conference, before thousands of reporters, recent controversies about the actress's under-the-table rules were once again turned around. All truths were laid bare. Gojanium also prepared a press conference to announce a major piece of news. Gojanium spoke up. "I invited you all to today's press conference to announce that director Yang Sa-kim and I have established a new film and television company. The company will next invest 2 billion to prepare and produce director Yang Sa-kim's new film. Please stay tuned." The two of them revealed the company's name: Art Film and Television. The crowd below was amazed. "Wow, 2 billion. Gojanium, this is a game changer. I wonder which tycoon is backing her." At sunset in the Hode University campus, Jin Juan had just finished his class and was standing on the balcony, awaiting the outcome of Gojanium's story. He read through the numerous comments and thought, "I feel like the mastermind behind all this. It's not a bad feeling." Below, Yang's angry voice could be heard cursing Jin Juan. "Yes. Jin Juan, you son of a bitch. Making a mess at school is one thing, but you've also sullied my goddess Soyakyu. Let's see if you survive this time." The kid immediately took out his smartphone and called, "Hello, is this Juki? I am Yang from the Physical Education Department. I have some matters related to Jin Juan that I want to discuss with you." The kid must still be seething, unable to forget the feeling of being slapped away by Jin Juan in front of all those women. A while after that phone call, Aki, fuming with anger, marched to the school with Meng Meng trailing behind, feeling a bit anxious. "Hey, wait up a bit. Are you really going to confront Jin Juan because of that phone call?" Meng Meng asked. Aki replied thoughtfully. Yang pulled out his household registration book and said Jin Juan is messing around with many girls at school and even stole his girlfriend. It doesn't seem like a lie. I know it's reckless to go after Jin Juan because of Yang's call, but Jin Juan hasn't contacted me during this time. I have a bad feeling about it. Meng Meng tried to reassure her, "I understand. It's natural to be worried about a rich and outstanding guy like him. But Jin Juan seems quite loyal and probably isn't the type to fool around." While they were talking, they noticed a group of classmates ahead discussing Jinbingseol. "Look, Jinbingseol is here again," one of them said. "And she's looking for that Jin Juan guy. Isn't she lucky?" Aki and Mengming also looked towards Jinbingseol, who seemed very flustered. She was wondering what to say to him and whether she should agree or not if Jin Juan really liked her. Aki called out, "Hey, Jinbingseol." Hearing the familiar voice, Jinbingseol turned around, surprised. "Aki, why are you here?" Aki, puzzled, asked, "Didn't you graduate? Why are you back at school and didn't tell me?" Jinbingseol, feeling a bit embarrassed, responded, "I'm looking for Jin Juan. Don't misunderstand. I'm just here to discuss some business matters with him." She thought it was best not to mention Jin Juan further. Aki was clearly suspicious. Oh no, she thought. Aki must be suspecting something now. Aki remained silent but was deeply troubled, thinking, wasn't Jinbingseol always so averse to Jin Juan? Why is she looking for him to cooperate now? When did they become so close? Meanwhile, the onlookers exclaimed as a blue car approached, driving up to the male dormitory. The car stopped in front of Aki and Jinbingseol, causing the two to pause their conversation and turn their attention towards it. The person stepping out of the car had long legs. It was Soyaku. She was extraordinarily charming and beautiful as she stepped out of the vehicle, capturing the hearts of the crowd. Whether male or female, everyone was exclaiming in awe, "Wow, she's so beautiful!" And the camera captures her so well. Even the campus beauty, who was usually unflappable, was stunned by the sight, thinking, what a stroke of luck to witness such a famous beauty today. Aki and Mengming were also mesmerized by Soyaku's beauty and charisma, continuously praising her, saying she was gorgeous and had an amazing presence. Jinbingseol, however, did not share these sentiments. She knew very well who Soyaku was and what her relationship with Jin Juan might be. She thought, why is she here? This is terrible. Soyaku approached the three of them and said, "Hello everyone. I'm looking for Jin Juan. Is he here?" A sophomore in the literature department at Hoge? Upon hearing this, Aki asked, "You're looking for Jin Juan. What is your relationship with him?" With a woman's intuition, Soyaku sensed there might be something suspicious behind the inquiry. Soyaku's gaze became intrigued and she asked, "May I ask what your relationship with Jin Juan is?" Aki, feeling a bit agitated by the counter-question, was annoyed. The two women stared at each other with a tense gaze. Mengming, standing between them, intervened, "Let's find a place to sit. Standing here is not very productive." The scene shifted to a cafe where the four of them were seated, forming a tense quadrangle. The atmosphere was silent, with no one speaking, each lost in their own thoughts. Soyaku broke the silence. "If no one is going to speak up, I will start." She directly asked Aki, "Do you have feelings for Jin Juan?" Aki felt a bit uneasy with the straightforward question. It wasn't the anxiety of publicly admitting her feelings for Jin Juan, but rather the anxiety that Soyaku might have similar intentions towards him. The situation was getting intense, and it was unclear how Jin Juan would handle it. Now, the four women, Jukji, Soyaku, Jinbingseol, and Mengming, the other factor, were gathered in the cafe to face each other and determine who would be Jin Juan's girlfriend. Soyaku took the initiative and asked Aki, "Do you have feelings for Jin Juan?" Hearing the confident tone from Soyaku, Aki responded boldly, "Yes, I like Jin Juan. Does he like me too? Is that a crime?" Soyaku feigned disbelief and retorted, "Like you? Don't joke with me. Jin Juan has been pursuing me for 5 years. He even took a beating for me back in high school. Beautiful girl, making mistakes in love is one thing, but you need to own up to it." Hearing this, Aki bristled and retorted, "It's not about having money or not." Mengming, sitting beside her, saw her friend's disadvantaged position and spoke up. "What my friend means is that Aki is just a third party. Even though Jin Juan fought for you, he has gifted Aki a villa worth over 10 million, and recently even a piano worth 500 million NDT. What about you? What have you got?" Soyaku was slightly shocked and disbelieving, recalling the moment on the subway when Jin Juan had looked very unhappy and evasive when this topic was brought up. It seemed that not only did he give away a villa and a piano, but Jin Juan was also a mysterious tycoon who had bid for a crystal piano. Was he really playing both sides? Yakyu clenched her lips and thought, I can't lose to them. She confidently responded, oh, 500 million is a lot, but Jin Juan gave me an office building worth over 2 billion. Who do you think Jin Juan likes more? Upon hearing this, Aki stopped bristling and instead wore a very contemplative expression. She wondered if Jin Juan was truly unfaithful and if everything he had said to her before was a lie. At this moment, Jin Mingseol timidly spoke up. Actually, Jin Juan also gifted me shares worth 1 billion. With a guilty look, Jin Mingseol apologized to Aki. After hearing this, all four women fell silent, deep in thought. Unable to take it any longer, Aki grabbed her phone and stood up, saying, I need to call Jin Juan and clarify why he's being so unfaithful and why he still wants to confirm things with me. But then, Aki realized something was off. It seemed that Jin Juan had never actually confirmed a relationship with her. Yakyu replied, that's right. Every time we talked about confirming the relationship, Jin Juan would change the subject. After hearing this, Meng Ming realized why Jin Juan had never confirmed the relationship. He could be ambiguous with other girls without facing moral condemnation. Jin Juan really was a scumbag with a well-laid plan. Yakyu, determined, declared loudly, I'm going to make Jin Juan clarify everything. I absolutely will not share a man with other girls. Seeing her urgency, Meng Ming called out, wait a moment. Don't you think breaking up with him would actually benefit him more? How can Jin Juan, with all his wealth, toy with the feelings of girls? He deserves to be punished severely. Yakyu, puzzled, asked, so, what should we do? Should we just leave him alone if we don't break up? Meng Ming laid out a plan. The key to Jin Juan's game is money. He has too much of it. Even if we break up, he won't lose anything. He'll just find someone else to deceive. So here's what we'll do. Meng Ming, with a scheming expression, said, you girls should help each other out. You should take revenge. Continue to act like the perfect girls, pretend you know nothing, and then spend his money lavishly. Drain his wealth so that he faces bankruptcy and disaster. The girls seemed enlightened as they considered this plan. They thought, as long as they spent all of Jin Juan's money, he wouldn't be able to cause trouble anymore. This would be a way to benefit the female population. Meng Ming's plan was indeed clever, but there might be other aspects to consider. If they spent too much of Jin Juan's money without increasing their favor with him, they wondered what might happen. The situation was becoming increasingly intriguing, and it looked like the plan to win over Jin Juan's harem would be quite challenging. In the evening at Aki's villa, Meng Ming and Aki were discussing their plan. Aki, being a kind-hearted girl, hesitated and said, is this really appropriate? Meng Ming, firmly, replied, feeling pity for a scumbag like Jin Juan is just being cruel to yourself. Just send the message to Jin Juan as I instructed. Still reluctant, Aki was hesitant and didn't want to take the step. Meng Ming, losing patience, grabbed Aki's phone and said, if you won't do it, let me write it for you. Aki, somewhat stunned and unresponsive, reluctantly agreed to try it. Meanwhile, at Jin Juan's male dormitory, he was involved in a tense negotiation when he received a message notification from Aki. He was puzzled and wondered why Jo-ki was still awake and sending a message close to 10 p.m. Reading the message, Jin Juan found it surprising. The content read, recently, I want to try starting my own live streaming platform. What do you think about it? Jin Juan was taken aback. He wondered why Aki would want to start a live streaming platform. Did this mean Jo-ki wanted him to invest in her? Jin Juan sensed something was off. With Jo-ki's personality, she had never asked him for anything or wanted to use his money for herself. Or maybe someone was instigating Aki to do this. Coincidentally, Jin Juan had an empty live streaming platform that he didn't know who to give to manage. He replied, Jo-ki, it seems you have the same idea as I do. Recently, I acquired a live streaming platform that had previously gone bankrupt. I want to give it to you. If you want to be a leader in the program, it might not be a long-term solution. You should have your own platform. I am willing to invest an additional 5 billion if you want. After reading Jin Juan's message, both Aki and Mengming stared at each other in disbelief, unsure if it was real or a dream. Mengming said, "Is he really offering to give you a live streaming company?" Aki responded, "It seems he's also willing to invest an additional 5 billion. Mengming's face darkened as she fell silent. Aki, feeling embarrassed, turned away and thought, Jin Juan is really considerate. He has thought of everything and is planning to help me with my own career. I'm mesmerized by this feeling. Even though I know he's a scumbag, he's genuinely thoughtful, caring not only about my feelings but also quietly helping me develop." Mengming noticed her friend was lost in a daydream and shouted, "Aki, don't let these words sway you. Act quickly. 5 billion is not a small amount of money. Don't be deceived, this kid might back out on his promises." Aki replied, "Jin Juan isn't like that. He's very reliable. That amount of money may be a lot for us, but for him, he could easily make a promise and then back out." Mengming responded, "A promise is only a promise if it's fulfilled. Don't let his words move you to the point of being swayed. I'm here to help you take down this scumbag." Mengming, in a fit of anger, bit the phone and thought, "Damn it. Why can't I meet someone as generous as this? Even if I had to share with others, I'd be willing." Mengming then sent a message, "Everything is settled. Jin Juan, don't regret it and back out." Jin Juan replied, "No problem. Tomorrow, I'll send someone to handle the procedures for you and take over the company." Jin Juan, reflecting on the message he received, thought that the person texting him on Aki's phone was definitely not Aki herself. The tone and manner seemed foreign, leading him to suspect Mengming. He smirked maliciously, thinking, "Since you want to spend money, I'll let you spend as much as you want, to the point of vomiting. Spend until you're sick of it. A few bucks and you think you can deplete my finances?" Scene transition to Soyaku's villa. Mother and daughter are having a conversation. Soyaku's mother, surprised by the conversation, exclaims, "What? Jin Juan has deceived you." Soyaku replies, "Yes, that's right. Today, after meeting with Jin Juan, we discovered that he is developing relationships with multiple people at the same time." Soyaku's mother still can't believe it. "Is our future son-in-law really like that? Are you sure what the other girls said is true?" Soyaku responds, "Even though Jin Juan hasn't confirmed a relationship with them, his actions are almost the same." Suddenly, a group message notification appears on Soyaku's phone, surprising her. Her mother asks, "What's this group?" Soyaku shows her phone and explains, "This is a group chat formed by the girls involved with Jin Juan. We created it to discuss ways to make Jin Juan lose more money." The message from Aki in the group reads, "I just told Jin Juan that I want to start my own career, and he gifted me a company and invested an additional 5 billion. Mengming, in the group, confirms the message. After reading this, Soyaku becomes furious and envious. He's so generous, giving her an additional 5 billion. Why does Juki get more than I do? What does she have that I lack in terms of background, family, and appearance?" Her mother interjects, "Listen to me. I think you might be deceived by the other girls. I'm surprised to see you so troubled by love. Let me tell you a story from the past. Your father and I came from very different backgrounds. I worked very hard, and we ended up with a happy marriage. Although our family in Hanseong isn't bad, it's still far behind Jin Juan's background. Your relationship with him will surely face some difficulties. A man who is so powerful will attract attention from many women around him, but you must trust in your own strength." As Soyaku is about to respond, her mother interrupts. "The other girls say Jin Juan is a scumbag, but why haven't they left him? It's simply because they all want to make him their own and keep him to themselves. Jin Juan, the hidden heir of a powerful family, is a prized catch." Soyaku, enlightened. Soyaku exclaims, "Ah, so that's it." She feels a weight lifted off her shoulders regarding Jin Juan. Her mother continues, "The key is to be courageous and determined. We must bring Jin Juan into our family as our son-in-law. This is your lifelong happiness, my dear." Feeling re-energized, Soyaku replies with renewed determination, "Yes, that's exactly right. The recent Cold War between Jin Juan and me isn't working. I can't let other women have a chance. Scene transition to Jin Juan's dormitory. As Jin Juan is about to go to sleep in his comfortable bed, he receives a message from Yakyu with the following content. Jin Juan, I'm truly sorry. I've always misunderstood you. Jin Juan reads the message with confusion, thinking, who am I? Where is this? Why is she apologizing? After the messages with Aki, Jin Juan senses something is off. Now, with Yakyu's peculiar behavior, he realizes they might be aware of each other's presence. He decides he needs to take proactive action. Yakyu, feeling flustered by Jin Juan's call, turns to her mother for advice. Jin Juan is calling. What should I do? Her mother replies, pick up the phone. He must have received your signal. Yakyu answers the call with a sweet voice. Hello, Jin Juan. Is there something wrong? Jin Juan, sensing something suspicious, responds, I wanted to let you know about something. Recently, I've invested in a live streaming platform that's managed by a friend of mine named Juki. Normally, this wouldn't be a big deal, but I thought I should inform you to avoid any misunderstandings. Yakyu, satisfied with the explanation, responds softly, oh, I see. Live streaming. Thanks for letting me know. The call ends after less than a minute of brief explanation. Seeing her daughter's slightly flushed face, Soyakyu's mother asks, what did Jin Juan say? Yakyu replies, he explained about the investment in a live streaming company for Juki. Her mother enthusiastically says, I see now. Jin Juan is showing his position. In his heart, you are still the most important person to him. Hearing this, Soyakyu is overjoyed and responds, so Jin Juan isn't as I thought. Oh my god, he likes me, and that's why he did this. But thinking back to the afternoon's events, she starts to tear up, feeling pity for Jin Juan. He didn't guard himself against me at all, yet I conspired with other women to harm him. I'm such a terrible person. Seeing this, her mother comforts her, holding her hand. Why are you crying? Why do you feel so guilty? Soyakyu sobs, Mom, I really feel sorry for Jin Juan. I want to make it up to him. I have a gift for him that I'm sure he'll love. A soul as big and round as mine can't be a bad girl, so he should forgive me. This compensation is actually a bargain for Jin Juan. Scene transition to the next morning. The next morning, Aki is at the live streaming company to finalize the contract. As soon as she opens her eyes, she finds Jin Juan has transferred 2 billion yuan to her as startup capital. Jin Juan has also sent his subordinate to guide her through the signing process. Aki, you just need to sign these documents, and the process will be nearly complete, the subordinate says. Aki hurries to sign, asking, is my signature okay? The subordinate replies, yes, it looks a bit like a doctor's handwriting, but I can read it. Also, you are now the owner of Car TV. The company's losses are also documented in the report for you to review. Seeing the report showing significant losses, Aki feels a bit uneasy, realizing that without Jin Juan's 2 billion yuan, the company would likely go bankrupt before it even launched. Despite Jin Juan's reliability and attentiveness, he is still a player, but she acknowledges the trust he's shown by transferring such a large sum. Aki realizes that she should show her gratitude and not appear greedy, so she resolves to act appropriately. Scene transition to a car exhibition. Later, at a car exhibition, many people are there to browse and choose cars. After finalizing the contract, Aki comes to select a car as a gift for Jin Juan. She is troubled by what kind of car Jin Juan would like. Recalling that Jin Juan previously had a Ferrari, she wonders if she should buy him another Ferrari, but a different model. As Aki is contemplating, she is astonished to see something miraculous and surprising from a distance. It's Soyakyu, who is also browsing for cars. Soyakyu also notices Aki and is curious. Aki forces a smile and greets her, oh, you're here too, looking at cars. In her mind, Aki wonders why Soyakyu is here. Shouldn't they be going car shopping together with the group? Soyakyu responds with a slight smile. Oh, it's my father's birthday today, so I'm here to choose a car as a birthday gift for him. What about you, Aki? Are you choosing a car for Jin Juan? Soyakyu subtly assesses Aki's reaction, thinking, is she also here to choose a gift for Jin Juan? Aki, feeling as if she has been caught off guard, awkwardly replies, "No, of course not. How could I give a car to that scoundrel? I'm here to pick a gift for my father too." The two of them share a forced, awkward smile. Soyaku responds, "Oh, I see. What a coincidence." Aki laughs nervously, "Yes, what a coincidence." Just then, a familiar voice interrupts, "You're here too." Soyaku and Aki turn around to see Jinbingseol. Both of them exclaim in unison, "Why are you here too?" Jinbingseol, sensing the tension, fabricates a reason, "Oh, I'm here to help my father choose a birthday gift as well." Yaku, finding this excuse laughable, feels very frustrated. Aki tries to ease the tension, saying, "What a coincidence, we're all organizing birthday gifts for our fathers on the same day." Yaku forces a laugh, "Yes, what a coincidence." Bingseol adds, "Maybe we have the same father," laughing. Jin Juan, observing from afar, wonders how he ended up with 3 beautiful daughters, also considerate of their fathers. Yaku thinks to herself that the excuse of buying a gift for their fathers is ridiculous. She is determined to buy a car to give to Jin Juan today, and will not let anyone compete with her. Her mother was right. The vendetta group against Jin Juan is a facade. If not, why would they come here with such excuses? Her attention then shifts to Aki, remembering that a few days ago, Jin Juan had transferred 2 billion yuan to her. Aki seems to be a formidable competitor. Yaku notes that she doesn't have as much money as Aki does. Thinking this, Yaku pulls out her smartphone with determination, knowing that she can't lose this time. If she doesn't have the resources, she'll find them elsewhere. The vengeful sisterhood is indeed powerful, but everyone is fighting for their own interests. Jin Juan belongs to only one person, and it remains to be seen if the vengeful sisterhood will last. Scene change to the Teo family villa. Yaku's mother picks up on the situation and asks Soyaku, "What's going on? Why did you suddenly call?" After Yaku explains her situation, her mother realizes that she wants to buy a gift for Jin Juan but is struggling financially. She reassures her daughter not to worry and decides to help her out. She calls the butler and instructs him to transfer funds from the family treasury to Yaku. The butler responds, "Madam, isn't that money meant for the young master's wedding?" She gestures for him to stop and says, "Don't mention that. The most important thing right now is to secure Jin Juan for our family. Everything else is secondary." The butler, seeing her dramatic performance, is at a loss. He thinks, indeed, the young master is pitiful. After a while, Yaku receives a transfer of 60 million yuan from her mother. The quick transfer surprises Yaku, and she can't believe it. Tears well up in her eyes as she thinks, "I thought my parents loved my younger brother more, but I realize now that I was wrong about them." Determined, she vows to herself that she will not lose to Jukyai. Meanwhile, Jin Juan and Jang Oxian are walking and talking as they admire cars. Jang Oxian mentions a newly opened showroom with many beautiful new models and suggests they go see it. Jin Juan, who has been using taxis and public transportation since giving a car to Go Jeonium, asks Hokshin, "Has the car I ordered arrived? It's been taking too long." Hokshin replies, "Don't worry, brother. We are professionals, so the job will be done quickly. Let's head to the VIP room to sign the contract and finalize the delivery." However, Jin Juan's mood darkens slightly as he sees Hokshin's smirk. He thinks, despite all the new models and beautiful women at the car exhibition, it seems like Hokshin's just showing off. Next to the Rolls-Royce, a petite blonde with long legs is striking poses, causing Jin Juan to be completely entranced. He glances to the left and sees another stunning woman with a body that rivals the high price of a Lamborghini, making him drool with desire. He's eager to get closer and experience this model before it's officially released. Despite his keen interest, he's startled when he spots 2 familiar figures. He's astonished to see Juki and Soyaku together, their relationship apparently very close. Jukjai and Soyaku are talking intimately, and Jinbingseol is there too, bringing drinks to them. Jin Juan is taken aback, wondering if this is a coalition of his 3 lovers. Suddenly, Jinbingseol senses something and turns around, feeling the gaze of someone watching them. Her intuition proves accurate, as she notices Jin Juan's predatory stare. Feeling a bit uneasy, she tells Okay, "It's nothing. Let's continue our conversation." Ho-chin, not understanding what's happening, notices that Jin Juan, who usually seems composed, looks somewhat flustered behind his back. Jin Juan reflects on the situation, realizing that while he had anticipated a day when his hopes for a harem might collapse, he didn't expect it to happen so quickly. He analyzes the scene with a pale face, thinking, they must be aware of my presence next to them. But despite that, they haven't severed ties with me. It seems they can't bear the thought of parting ways. Ho-chin notices Jin Juan's unusual state and asks, "Jin Juan, are you all right?" Jin Juan quickly recovers his scheming demeanor. With all three women showing over 95% affection towards him, he sees this as an opportunity to act the part of a scoundrel. Jin Juan responds, "I'm fine, just a cramp in my leg." He then turns to Ho-chin and says, "Show me the three most expensive cars here. Don't hold back, just give me the prices." Jane Ho-chin, impressed by Jin Juan's enthusiasm, eagerly responds, "The top three most expensive cars here are: first, the Pagani Huayra; second, the rare Lamborghini Batman; and finally, the car you've ordered." Jin Juan cuts him off, "Don't be long-winded. Just give me the prices for all three." Seeing this, Jang Ho-kien was startled. While enthusiastically introducing the cars, he almost injured himself. He thought to himself, is it really necessary to be this ecstatic over buying all three cars? Jin Juan, on the other hand, was considering using these three supercars to test the strength of the alliance of his female admirers. He thought, well, let's just take all three. I'll rename the group to Jin Juan's harem and keep them all. Jang Ho-kien, seeing Jin Juan's excited expression, responded, "But getting all three cars is a bit challenging." Jin Juan replied slowly, "The price isn't the issue. You know my spending power, so just give me the price for each." Ho-chin explained, "You misunderstood. It's not about the money. The other two cars are already reserved by someone else." Jin Juan, surprised, asked, "Reserved? Who's so influential to reserve them?" Ho-chin pointed to one direction and said, "That's him. The other side is the heir of the richest conglomerate in the country, Rimso. He reserved the other two cars, intending to give them as gifts to his sister." Jin Juan pondered, realizing he'd have to deal with this powerful conglomerate for the cars. Ho-kien added, "Don't worry, Jin Juan. I have other luxury cars available here. I'll help you choose." Jin Juan observed Rimso approaching Soyaku and starting a conversation. Rimso greeted, "Hello, I'm Rimso. May I have the honor of adding you on WeChat to get to know you better?" Yaku, slightly dazed, didn't understand what was happening. Rimso continued with a downcast expression, "I know I might come off as conceited, but you really remind me of an old friend. Seeing you after many years, I feel like I'm meeting an old acquaintance. If you decline, that's fine. I just want to make up for a bit of regret." Yaku thought, this guy's flattery is nothing compared to Jin Juan. This conversation barely scores a 4 out of 10. Don't follow this clumsy approach. Despite intending to decline Rimso, Yaku noticed Jin Juan watching her closely. Jin Juan's gaze was cold and sharp. Yaku felt like Jin Juan was a completely different person, wondering what he was doing. I don't want to add this 4-point flatterer, but he's looking at me like that. Yaku felt a surge of anger and wanted to make Jin Juan absolutely furious. She took out her phone and accepted Rimso's friend request. She said to Rimso, "All right, if you want, we can connect and get to know each other." Yaku thought, adding a stranger on WeChat might lead to continuous chatting, but it could also create a sense of crisis for Jin Juan. I'll see how Jin Juan reacts. But when she looked around, she didn't see Jin Juan anywhere, which surprised her. She was left uncertain about whether what she did was right or wrong and felt a tinge of bitterness. Seeing Jin Juan's irritated reaction after the recent scene, Ho-chin hurried to catch up and asked, "Jin Juan, do you know the girl from earlier?" Jin Juan replied coldly, "We used to know each other, but now we are strangers." Ho-chin was puzzled, not understanding the situation. He thought, why does this situation seem so bitter? Jin Juan added, "Ho-chin, today I want to buy out all the cars in the showroom. Is 1 billion yuan enough?" He was challenging Rimso and wanted to test the richest conglomerate in the country. Jin Juan was determined to see how they would respond. After a while, Jin Juan said to Hoshin, "I know you have a good reputation in business. If you think this might damage your credibility, I'll pretend I never said this." Seeing the mountain of money involved, Ho Chien excitedly put his arm around Jin Juan and said with a smile, "No problem, this isn't difficult. Rimso is just a small fry. But are you sure about 1 billion? Jin Juan replied, "A gentleman's word is his bond." Ho Chien assessed the situation and realized that Jin Juan's earlier bitterness was genuine. Jin Juan seemed to be jealous of the girl and was ready to declare a challenge. Ho Chien thought, with the chance to earn 800 million yuan, only a fool would pass up this opportunity. "Sorry, Rimso, but you can't compete with real money. We're talking business here." A while later, in the VIP room, Jin Juan swiped his black credit card, and 1 billion yuan was spent in an instant. However, Jin Juan remained calm and collected. Ho Chien spoke up, "The money has been transferred. We look forward to a pleasant collaboration. Do you have any other instructions, Mr. Jin Juan?" Jin Juan replied, "Yes, I do have another request. I want to make an adjustment in the car exhibition hall." Ho Chien looked puzzled and asked, "What do you mean by adjustment?" As Ho Chien was searching around for Jin Juan, Yakyu noticed someone bringing out a piano and setting it up in the middle of the exhibition hall. She wondered, is there a performance going on here? Who would want to play the piano at a car exhibition? A crowd of onlookers gathered around, curious about what was happening. Where did this come from? Is there a special program? Which talented artist is performing? I don't know, but let's watch and see. Soon, Jin Juan approached the piano, sat down, and began playing. Yaku was surprised and thought, he knows how to play the piano. She had never heard Jin Juan play this piece before, and the music was filled with sadness. Unable to hold back her emotions, Yaku started to cry. As Jin Juan continued to play, the onlookers were also moved and emotionally affected. "The piano music is so beautiful. It feels like I've fallen in love for the first time. I seem to have met my grandmother again. Where did this virtuoso come from? Why does his playing make me weep uncontrollably?" Aki, watching from the side, said, "It seems like Jin Juan's mood is not very good." Bing Seol, standing next to her, responded, "Could it be because of what happened with Soyakyu?" The music was filled with so many emotions, bringing back memories for Yakyu of her time with Jin Juan. Every moment they had shared since their reunion at that class meeting felt like a film reel playing out. The emotions between the two were slowly drifting towards a climax. The piece Jin Juan played was full of sorrow, sadness, and disappointment. The music was cold and chilling. When the piece ended, Jin Juan smiled and stood up, looking at Soyakyu. He pointed to the piano, giving a hint about the meaning of the music he had just played. His expression seemed to convey something he wanted to say. Jin Juan said, "If you love someone, let them be free to choose. Even if it means being hurt, you are now completely free." After speaking, Jin Juan coldly turned and left, leaving behind the crowd of onlookers and Yakyu. She was extremely distressed, realizing that her actions had touched Jin Juan's heartache. He truly loved her, but she had only played with his feelings. The piano piece just now seemed like the final punctuation mark on their relationship. Overwhelmed by emotions, Soyakyu couldn't hold back any longer. She burst into tears and ran after Jin Juan, calling out, "Please don't go, I was wrong. Don't leave me alone." Suddenly, Jang Goqian blocked her path and said, "Hold on a moment. You're Soyakyu, right?" Yakyu, puzzled, replied, "Yes, that's me. What's the matter?" Hokian handed her a document and said, "Earlier, Jin Juan bought the most expensive Lamborghini here for you. This is the purchase agreement. Please take a look." Surprised, Yakyu took the document and said, "This car is for me. Jin Juan bought it for me." She thought to herself, "He came here to buy a gift for me." Hoqian, eager to resolve the emotional tension, said, "That's right. Jin Juan specifically chose the most expensive car. Truly generous and deeply affectionate." Hearing this, Soyakyu felt very guilty towards Jin Juan. He had always treated her unconditionally, but she had acted like a fool. The more she thought about it, the more regretful she felt. Her small acts of cleverness had damaged Jin Juan's trust in her. Soyakyu sat down on the ground, crying uncontrollably. Witnessing this, Joki and Jinbing-sil came over to comfort her. Aki said, "Don't cry anymore. Please calm down a bit." Bing-sil added, "Yes, don't cry. It will be all right." Hochian, who was preparing the documents, addressed Aki and Bing-sil. "Oh, and Miss Aki and Miss Jinbing-sil. Jin Juan also bought each of you a luxury car worth 10 million each. Here are the purchase agreements for your review." Seeing this, the three women looked at each other, then fell into silent contemplation about Jin Juan. Jinbing-sil said, "It seems Jin Juan knew all along. We've been involved in a series of events." Aki replied, "Yes, but despite that, he doesn't hold any grudges against us for playing him." The three of them looked in the direction where Jin Juan had left, all thinking the same thing. Jin Juan had seen through everything but chose to remain silent, carefully maintaining a balanced relationship with them. Despite being unfaithful, he treated each person sincerely. Aki said, "He has always been like this, quietly giving to others without expecting anything in return." Bing-sil, with a touch of sadness, said, "He has always been trustworthy. Even though I've misunderstood him, he still protects me." Yakyu, feeling moved, said, "Jin Juan is such a kind person. I was blinded by worldly concerns and planned to deceive him. I am truly foolish." At that moment, the system notified. Joki's affection increased by 1, now at 99. Jinbing-sil's affection increased by 1, now at 99. Soyaku's affection increased by 1, now at 99. On the other side, Jin Juan was now sitting comfortably in a taxi. Seeing the system notification, he smiled with satisfaction. He was almost at 100 points. The 1 billion he spent was worth it. Thinking about having Aki on the left, Jinbing-sil on the right, and Yakyu below, his plan to establish a harem was getting closer to completion. It was truly worth looking forward to. He wondered what the reward would be for breaking through 100 points. The more he thought about it, the more he felt excited. As expected, his skills were unparalleled. He had managed to turn the tables and win over the Revenge Club members. Perhaps in the future, they should just rename themselves Jin Juan's harem. He really had to admire Jin Juan. Scene shifts to the campus of Hode University. While attending class, Jin Juan received a message from Soyakyu. It seemed that at the car exhibition, Soyakyu realized she had been wrong. She had used her relationship with a stranger to test Jin Juan, which had hurt him. Therefore, Jin Juan wanted to end their relationship. Soyakyu blamed herself for her thoughtless actions and actively apologized, wanting to mend their relationship with Jin Juan no matter the cost. She was determined not to lose him. She messaged Jin Juan, "I was wrong. Will you forgive me?" Jin Juan replied, "Let's calm down first. I need some time alone." Jin Juan, however, remained calm and thought, "Let her be like this for a few days. If she truly believes that I don't get angry, she's mistaken. Women can't be spoiled too easily." As he walked, he heard a familiar voice calling out. Jin Juan turned around, surprised to see Seor Crack. She waved cheerfully and greeted him. "I thought it looked like you from afar. It's really you. Long time no see, Jin Juan." Jin Juan was taken aback and thought, "Why does Seor Crack seem off today?" He hesitantly replied, "Ray Crack, I." Before he could finish his sentence, Seor Crack grabbed Jin Juan's hand and pulled him along. With a cheerful tone, she said, "Jin Juan, come with me. I want to show you something interesting." Jin Juan, caught off guard, asked, "Huh? Where are we going?" Seor Crack, looking very happy, responded, "Just follow me." Jin Juan wondered what interesting thing she might show him. He speculated that she might have her eye on some luxury item and wanted him to buy it. He silently cursed the women, thinking, "Only when they're short on money do they think of me. I need to see what's in her bag." After a while, Seor Crack led Jin Juan to an apartment. Jin Juan, feeling confused, asked Seor Crack, "What exactly are you doing? Bringing me to your room?" Seor Crack replied, "Jin Juan, don't rush. I have a very special surprise prepared for you." Seor Crack opened the door to reveal a room filled with many paintings. They were all of Jin Juan. Crack explained. I haven't been able to see you for a long time, so I could only paint you to ease my longing. I also want to thank you for all the help you've given me before. Jin Juan was astonished as he looked around the room and said, Are all these paintings of me? Seeing his reaction, Crack was very happy and replied, Yes, I just bought this house, and the living room was too empty. So I hung up these paintings I made. Jin Juan, smiling with his eyes squinted, complimented, This is the surprise you wanted to give me. Crack, encouraged by his praise, hesitantly said, No, the paintings are just something I did for convenience. Actually, this house is the real gift I'm giving you. Jin Juan was astonished and could hardly believe it. What? You said this house is a gift for me? Crack confirmed, Yes. Let me tell you the story. You were the one who helped me and my family. You lent me money and even helped my father deal with those debt collectors. She placed her hand on her chest and sincerely added, My father swore never to gamble again. Our family has overcome the hardship, and our business is starting to improve. After our situation got better, I began to reflect on myself. In the past, I was so vain and selfish, just a money-driven person. Jin Juan was surprised to see how much Crack had changed after a long time. He remarked, It's quite amazing to see you change so much. Crack extended her hand towards Jin Juan and said, I want to become the kind of girl who is worthy of you and pursue you again. Can I? Jin Juan was taken aback and thought, Is this really Crack, the gold digger from before? She's giving me a house and talking about pursuing me. He awkwardly replied, Even though you want to pursue me, directly giving a house seems like quite an investment. Crack responded, You lent me 5 million, and this house only cost a bit more than 3 million. I got a good deal, Jin Juan. She slowly took his hand and handed him the room key, adding, I asked your roommate, Do, and he said you always come and go late, and don't have a place to stay outside the dorm. So I bought this house for you. For you, it may not be much, but it's the best I can do to repay you. Jin Juan held the key in his hand, lost in thought. Was Crack truly sincere, or was there another motive? It turned out that recently Crack hadn't been in touch with him because she was waiting to reveal this grand gesture. Reflecting on his group of beautiful women, Crack had the least favorable family background. Jin Juan smiled. Despite her cunning, it suited his taste. He said, If that's the case, then I will accept it. At this moment, Jin Juan received an unexpected call from Yu Moonchio, who said, Jin Juan, we're having a gathering tonight. We haven't seen each other for a while. Let's get together for some drinks at the Moonlit Tavern. Skip your classes early and join us. Jin Juan responded, Got it. No problem. I've been craving a bit of alcohol lately. I'll come over soon. He then turned to Crack and said, Tonight, I'm going out with my dorm friends. Would you like to come along? Crack felt a sense of becoming a couple again when Jin Juan addressed her as you and invited her to join his friends for dinner. She was thrilled and replied, Really? That's great. Her heart was overjoyed. Jin Juan was including her in his personal circle, showing that he cared about her. The system notified Crack's affection level had increased by 1 point, now standing at 96 points. The host received 10 enhancement points. Jin Juan thought to himself, Crack is not a simple girl. It's time to see how much she can stir up the pond. But don't disappoint me, Senior Crack. He mused that he might be overthinking things, but if that were the case, it would be a small chance. Later that afternoon, Jin Bingsil was sitting in a taxi, feeling very confused. Jin Juan had given her such an expensive car, and she sighed deeply, feeling upset. In her heart, she was lamenting that she didn't have a driver's license. The driver next to her said, We've arrived at NDT 24. You just need to scan the code to pay. Bingsil, coming to her senses, replied, Oh, wait a moment while I scan the payment code. As she prepared to scan, she noticed Jin Juan standing next to a girl. The closer she got, the clearer it became. She was astonished to see that the girl Jin Juan was with was none other than the famous beauty of the Art Academy. Bingsil was stunned to realize that Jin Juan was with her. Jin Bingsil was consumed by jealousy and snapped at the driver beside her. Follow the car in front of us. I'll pay double the fare, just get us there quickly. The driver, slightly frightened by the sudden outburst, responded nervously, okay, I'll follow the car. He thought to himself, seems like this lady is quite intimidating. At home, it's a lioness, at work, it's the same. Why is working in this service industry so tough? Jin Bingseol, using her sixth sense as a woman, was sure something was amiss. She was determined to follow and see what Jin Juan and that girl were up to. She was very curious about their plans. Later, Jin Juan and Sura Crack arrived at the moonlit tavern, the venue for their gathering. Jin Bingseol trailed behind, spying on them. What made Bingseol feel slightly embarrassed was that Jin Juan and Sura Crack were just going for a meal, contrary to her expectations. Her overactive imagination had led her to believe they were up to something more intimate. It seemed her mind was always in the gutter. The driver, in a more subdued tone, reminded Bingseol, Miss, could you please settle the fare? The beautiful lady can pay for it. Jin Bingseol, now with a change in attitude, replied softly, oh sorry, I'll scan the code to pay right away. She then continued to follow Jin Juan and Sura Crack, determined to find out what Jin Juan was up to. Inside the tavern, Jin Juan's friends had been waiting since the afternoon. They were thrilled to see Jin Juan arrive on time for once, unlike his usual habit of being late. Hao suddenly recognized Sura Crack, who was on Jin Juan's arm. The girl seemed very familiar. His eyes widened in shock as he realized, oh my god, that's Sura Crack, the famous beauty from the art academy. Do, feeling a pang of jealousy, thought angrily, Jin Juan, you bastard. How come you always have such beautiful girls around you? We're just a bunch of single guys going out for a meal, and you bring your girlfriend along. This is so unfair. Do and the rest of us single guys are doomed to endure this. Jin Juan, appearing self-assured, took his seat and apologized for being late. He then introduced Sura Crack to his friends, saying, sorry for the delay. This is Sura Crack. These are my dorm mates. You might have met them before, but let me introduce them again. Before Jin Juan could finish his introduction, his friends eagerly started to make acquaintance with the beauty. I'm Old Hao. I'm Old Do. And I'm Four Eyes Tao, Jojo's nephew. Jin Juan was excited to introduce Sura Crack. This is Sura Crack, and she. Before Jin Juan could finish, Old Hao cut in loudly, haha, don't bother introducing her. Even if she turned to ashes, I'd recognize her. Seeing his friend having so much fun, Do gently pushed Old Hao's head down onto the table and chuckled awkwardly, Do, what are you saying? Do meant to say, who doesn't know the famous beauty Sura Crack? Four Eyes Tao, intrigued, asked, so, what's the relationship between you two? Jin Juan and Sura Crack were momentarily taken aback by the question. Do and Old Hao looked at Four Eyes Tao, confused. Sura Crack smiled and responded, what's the relationship? Well, I'm not entirely sure either. I'm probably pursuing Jin Juan, but he hasn't agreed to anything yet. She added innocently, I've even given him a house, but he's still thinking it over. It's quite painful to wait for a response, but it's okay. If it's Jin Juan, I'll wait for him my entire life. Hearing this, Jin Juan's single friends were stunned, as if they had just read a thrilling novel. They couldn't believe it. They exclaimed, seriously? A house? They looked at Jin Juan and were astonished at his charm. It seemed even fictional stories couldn't match up to this reality. Suddenly, a cup was knocked over, disrupting the conversation and drawing everyone's attention to the neighboring table. Jin Bingseol, who had been hiding and observing, thought to herself, please don't let them notice me. She trembled, reflecting on the fact that Sura Crack had given Jin Juan a house. She realized that Jin Juan had done so much for her, and she hadn't repaid him yet. If this continued, her impression in Jin Juan's eyes would deteriorate, while Sura Crack would gain the upper hand. She couldn't let this situation continue. Sura Crack was a serious rival. Bingseol quickly typed a message in the group chat with the other girls. Jin Juan is having dinner with a girl named Sura Crack at Tavern 25. It seems Sura Crack has given Jin Juan a house. Seeing this, Joki and Soakyu responded with question marks. Soyaku confirmed, "The tavern, right? I'm on my way." It seemed that the sisterhood was rallying together to confront Surakrak. With their combined efforts, they could make things easier for Jin Juan in the future.